Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. How are we doing, chat? How are we doing? Wait, I'm not supposed to call you guys chat. Someone told me that was gay. Jimmy, I think. Was it Jimmy? Might have been Jimmy. He's an expert. He is an expert. Anyway, what's up, guys? I've missed you. Apologies. I was planning on streaming yesterday. I went to the doctor in the morning just because annual checkup. And she's like, "You're alive." Somehow. And I was like, I'll take it. No, I actually had a pretty good bill of health. Most things are all in the places they're supposed to be. My triglycerides were normal, in the normal range, which may have happened once before in my entire life. So I'm very proud of myself. So I went home and I was like, the doctor tells you you're healthy. And I'm like, well, for some reason I don't feel healthy. And then the rest of the day was just downhill, straight into the fucking gutter. I was having some pretty fun, abdominal pain. And then it was gone this morning. I mean, not entirely, but it went away shortly thereafter waking up. So anyway, my apologies for not having a show yesterday. That was the plan. But now we have a show tonight. Johnny Deerfist says, "You're just old, man." I know. I'm well aware of my ancientness. I know my nose is extra shiny today. I don't know what to do about it. What do you do? What's up with that? I don't know. The temperature has been very erratic because it's transitioning to summer. And so things have been a little bit different. So it could possibly be warm. One of the things I wasn't prepared for. One of the things I was not prepared for with switching my computer was I went from this giant tower, right? That with like a 1500 watt power supply, it was ridiculous, to this tiny tablet. And everything's shut off when the tablet's not in the room. Like all the monitors turn off, the tablet turns off, or the tablet's not there. So there's like no heat generated from the equipment. I mean, there's some heat from some equipment, just not the computer equipment. So it's so much colder. I haven't even run my air conditioner in my office since switching back to it. Although I may turn it on today. I'm a little toasty. But anyway, I wasn't ready for that. So the temperature has been very, it's transitioning to summer. It's transitioning to summer harder than a second year female student at a liberal arts college. I went far for that joke. I went deep into the woods. Do I need a cardigan? Ew. No, never. I don't like cardigans. I don't like them. Jendo says, glad that Nick stopped wearing the douche glasses. They're not gone. It's just, I haven't fixed this monitor issue I have yet. I haven't rotated the monitor back. You look like someone gave you a noogie on your nose. God did. He did. He pulls hard. That's why it's long. All right, guys. I don't need a sweater vest. I'm not cold. It was just colder than I was used to. You know what? You guys are a little bit mean. I'm kidding. Not really. That's why you wear sunblock. I'm inside. You don't make any sense. Okay, so tonight we have a little bit of a show. And I know some of you are clamoring for Kurt content. Here's the problem. Kurt's been putting out such mediocrity lately that it's hard to really get into it. It's like just his boring videos. He hasn't been doing any cooking videos or workout videos, or he hasn't been raging at ChatGPT. He's just being like there. And that's a little depressing to me because, you know, I want the full experience of like his rage, his uncalculable, uncontrollable anger. I want all those things. But alas, we're not being gifted with that sweet nectar. There has been a 3-hour fat report. 3 hours of some large individuals talking about me from the Karen Reed section of the universe, and I do intend to cover it. Absolutely. It's this weirdo named Nina Stanek, I think is her name. Nina Stanek. So you guys probably know who that is. I don't. But they have tried to. So these people all live in like a weird world of mimetic speaking about internet stuff. But they're all like boomer ladies who aren't funny. So they're completing the merge. They're trying to accomplish a dimensional merge because they're borrowing as they go read Kiwi Farms, and they're like, oh, what is this website that they're learning about? Which is really funny. You can see them start to adopt various bits and pieces of their language. So they're trying to complete the merge, which is borrowed from Chris Chan and his lore. We won't get into it. That merge is Nina Stanek. Not Nina Infinity, who I like, but Nina Stanek, who I don't know anything about. She did an interview with the creepy lady who like follows me around and wants to rescue my children. That's right. That's right. So that's Lady K or something. A timid tiger on Twitter. If you want to read the insane ramblings of a broken woman, you can go to a timid tiger on Twitter, and she'll tell you all about me. She doesn't know me at all, like not really. All she knows is what she's read, so that's great. But you can go pursue that if you want. But she and Nina did a show together for like 3 hours. And I'm sure it's got all sorts of insightful things, like criticizing straws, for example. Tiny Dottore. I did try the dirty Dr. Pepper at McDonald's. I know this is off subject, but this is important. It wasn't mine. I didn't order it. I pretend to be skinny. But someone in my automobile ordered it, and I tried it. It was delicious. It was very good. The other Mary B says, quoting me, when did she start hating me? I should pull these up on screen. Where'd that go? Let's see. Wait, what? Complete random. Are you talking about me? My eyes aren't injured, I don't think. But yeah, so someone was informing me that Nina Stanek like used to watch my show, used to be a fan, and then like before everything happened, started hating me for something. And so I was like, well, when did that happen? Common problem for me. People start hating me at various times, and I can't keep track of it. I mean, who has time? Nick needs a sandwich. I'm about as fat as you've ever seen me. Well, not quite. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I'm still about 20 pounds below my top weight. So still 185. Sometimes 183, sometimes 187. Put it on a shirt, I guess. We'll see. We're not going to do the 3 hours of Nina and Timid Tiger tonight, but I want to do them very, very soon. Very, very soon. Because I need these fucking hoes to keep going. That's what I need. I need them to keep feeding me and feeding my ego. Because that is how I survive this cruel, awful world. So we have that coming, but we're not going to do that tonight. How tall am I? The amateur and 94. I am 6'3". So tonight we're going to cover Chud the Builder. We're going to cover the JP-Morgan RanaRana guy. I don't know. Chaiya Rana, the greatest, the greatest accuser of women in the history of India. We're going to cover that guy. And then we've also got, what was the other thing? I forgot what it was. Oh, ICE. ICE immigration stuff is going crazy in like New Jersey right now, which is funny. Joe needs to stay indoors. I'm fear for his safety. And then I have a little bit of personal drama too. And I don't know where in the show I should put it. Should I lead with it? Should we tuck it in the middle like a trans penis? Or should we do it like later? I'm not sure. We'll see. Gendo says the fake story. The fake story. Yes, the fake story. Miss Sparkle says, I bet your wife doesn't have these cannons. I know you're not talking about Lady Rackets. Let's see. Have you applied for being a sex slave at JP-Morgan Chase? I immediately was like, what do I have to do to renew my Series 7? Or did it, wait, I think, wait, I'm trying to remember if I did a 7 or if I did a 63. I think I did a 7. Go with it now? Let's do a couple things. I know it's a quote from the JP Morgan case. Sorry. I was just playing along. Okay, I got to pull up super tips. By the way, we do have super tips available. I was worried that we wouldn't get any in stock, but we do have them. Whoops. And I'll pin the super tip link in just a second. So I just got to get my dashboard pulled up so I can play them. We have a couple of those guys. Yes, I'm going to get it pinned right now. Other than that, we've got some good stuff coming up. Working on some guests. Working on a show. We're gonna do a Karen Reed lore catch-up show, because like the Karen Reed case, I didn't I saw Aiden's antics and I saw like all the blowback he was getting, and I was like, well, that looks fun, but I didn't realize how fucking crazy some of the people in that case are. They are nuts. They are absolutely nuts, and I didn't realize it. So I am, I'm working on, putting together a Karen Reed Catch Ricada Law up on the Karen Reed happenings. If you guys are familiar with the Karen Reed, like, side cast of, streamers and stuff, there may be some faces that you recognize. And, I think we're going to have some fun times with that. So that's going to come up. That's coming up soon. I believe I'm going to be on Alex Stein's show soon. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And we got some other stuff too. Uy says, you still planning on getting Miss Lips on the show? I would love to, but there's been a bunch of updates in that case, and I have to do that. I have to get into that Laura Owens and What the Hales shit as well, and do a little catch up there. Because so Lips was being represented by her own husband, Michael Frederigos, in I think in the defamation case or something. She's fired him, so he's gone. Megan Fox has been receiving chain cease and desist letters. We need to do some of those. We're going to cover some of those, and we're going to show the stuff that the cease and desist is concerning. It's a matter of public concern for sure. So we're going to show some of that. And there's some body cam footage in there. I got to review it, and see what's on the body cam footage, if it's worth watching that footage itself. If it's redundant, I'm not going to do it. But if there's some funny stuff to take care of, then maybe we will. We'll see. And yeah, there's all sorts of stuff to talk about. And of course, we got some trials coming up really soon.
I knitted my own cardigan. It glows under blacklight and has secret messages knitted into it in Morse code. If you work really hard, someday you might get on my level. Maybe, probably not.
I never will. I can promise you. I won't do that. But I am proud of you for doing that. That's cool.
Hey, Nick, what's the difference between a lentil and a chickpea? I'll never pay $100 to have a lentil on my chest. Love your work rackets. Keep going strong.
Why are you You can get it for free. I wouldn't know. I don't know about that. I'm not like, joking aside, I am not into the urine stuff. Like, bodily excrement, just that. I'm down for a lot, but not that. That's not my thing. But thank you for the dad joke about sex. That was great. Jeff Smith has gifted a membership. Thank you, Jeff. Very much appreciated. Shelly C, with 25 months of membership, says, glad to see you. My favorite always. How you doing, Shelly? Very happy to have you here. And of course, as is customary, Shelly has dropped 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Make sure if you guys get a gifted membership, you give a little thank you to the person who gave it to you. It's an easy way to be a better person. TMF Squid says, free Chud. Wearing a Burger King crown isn't illegal and shouldn't be considered provocation. I don't know how wearing a Burger King crown in and of itself could be considered provocation, but you know what? Like, judges are retarded. So it's hard to say. They come up with all sorts of weird shit. Sunderwear says, our baby is here, Nick. 9 months of being gay. Yay. Wait. Huh? Okay, now I'm confused by that. Is that a real baby? Is that a real baby? Or like, are you saying that you're and my baby, so we've been gay together for 9 months? That might be true. I'm confused by it, and sexually. Ms. Sparkle says, only nerds have their shirts buttoned up that far. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. You guys start waving members around and maybe the buttons start coming down. Who knows? I am a hoe. DX Mania gifting 10 memberships. Thank you so much. Holy shit. Now it's your baby. Oh, fuck. Gifting 10 memberships. I really appreciate it. Thank you, DX Mania. Hell yeah. Frederick Little says, how was your Memorial Day? Did you cook? What was Monday? What did we do? I couldn't tell you. I have, like, the days have blended together completely. Monday, there wasn't school. We had a weekend. Memorial Day. What did we do on that time? Oh, no, I didn't cook. We took the kids to mini golf and go-karts. and bumper boats. So that's there was pizza there. So we just bought some pizzas. So I didn't really cook for Memorial Day, other than like I cook 1 or 2 meals at least a day for kids or myself. A lot of times it's just like ramen, maybe with some stuff in it, a lot of fried rice. We do fried rice around here. And so I might have cooked some of that stuff, but mostly it was pizza, but because we were out at the place. So it was a good time. All right. So thank you for that. I get that. Oh shit. I gotta get the Rumble. Sorry. I gotta get my Rumble window up as well. And then we're almost there. And then, yeah, I guess we'll start with my personal drama. I'll warn you ahead of time. You got to do these trigger warnings these days because everybody's so sensitive. But there is a faggot warning on this one because it's starring a giant homo. I was going to say not really, but really. No, it's this is from my past life. And I'll give you the context. This will just take a couple minutes. I don't know if this is like if I'm ever gonna be free of the fucking nonsense, but some of it's funny. And so we'll take a little detour into that for just a second if you guys are cool with that. This is kind of it's very important that I do this because you'll see why it's important to do this. But yeah. So let me get this pulled up. Oh my God. Hey, what's up? I love seeing the jewels and stuff. Like, I mean, I don't mean that as I love seeing the jewels like flowing. I mean, obviously everybody loves stuff like that, but I mostly just mean I love it because it lets me know that the vertical streaming is going. What did Tonka Saw do to me again? Nothing. Okay, so I need to go directly to this. And okay. So some of you know about, my past life, and I had to encounter this person called Steel Toe for reasons we don't need to get too far into. But I had to encounter this Steel Toe person. His name is Aaron Imholt, and he is quite the character. Why is this window screwed up? Who cares? So he's quite the character. And long story short, while hanging out over a period of a couple months with Aaron and his ex-wife, his ex-wife ended up leaving him, and she ended up kind of hanging out with me and Lady Raggets for a while. That's the simplest PG version I got for you. Okay. So very simple, very straightforward. This is during a really tumultuous time. Our nanny, ended up leaving our employment right in about the worst possible time. It was near the end of the school year, and the schedule that we had required 3 drivers. So it needed Lady Raggets, me, and a nanny. just because kids were everywhere at all different times. It was a very, very bad schedule. But we had the nanny who was able to do most of that most of the time. But then when she left our employment, we didn't have her anymore. So Steel Toe's former wife stepped in to take over. And there's a whole lot of story about that. I was in the chat room of my friend Haley from the Pretty Antisocial podcast, which is a great show if you want to learn about like Dabbleverse drama. I don't recommend doing that. If you don't know what you're doing, it's very dangerous. But she, I was watching her show the other day for just a little bit, and I told a little story because while his wife April was living at our house and helping out with sort of nannying activities, driving the kids around and stuff, I mentioned that Aaron asked me for gas money. He was crying about like how expensive it was getting because she had to drive my kids around and stuff like that. And by had to, I mean, he presented this idea to me. He's like, oh, she can just stay down here with you at your house. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a fine idea. And so like, she was helping out and our schedule was just crazy. It was crippling. And our schedule is actually probably a very large contributor to a lot of my issues with things. It was constant oppressive stress. I love the hell out of my kids. I had no problem like conceptually wanting to get them everywhere they needed to go. It was just difficult because my God, like we were just always busy. This is a lot of backstory you don't really need. So he decided to call me out on this. And so that's where we're sitting right now. So I'm going to play a 5-minute clip of him talking about this. Because all I did was in this chat, like I was just like, yeah, he was like bitching about gas money and stuff like that. And that was about it. So now he has decided to talk about it. And one of the things that I always make sure to do is, you'll see. Okay. So we'll just, let's just do it. I'm sorry. He's not a dapper fellow. I'll see if I can play. Can I play this? It doesn't have a speed up. Okay. Sorry.
Husey before we started the show today. And I guess the gossipy little girl show. What's Haley, my sister Haley? She does a gossipy little girl.
Now, if you want to like know about
200 people.
what you're about to experience, if you've never watched his show, it's bad.
But apparently, Nick was in her free chat, and I feel bad for the guy.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot about the echo. My bad. I got it. Already, we've got the first lie. That was not a free chat. It was her member chat. If you're gonna like say I'm a simp for Haley, you better get it right. It was her member chat. It was a members only show.
I do. I will say
he does feel bad for me. I can tell
because he's a mess and he's destroyed his life. And I kind of want. I mean, the whole thing was over 2 years ago. We only knew each other for a few months. Like, come on. You don't. But apparently he spends all day thinking about me, and he goes in chat rooms and he needs to talk about me. It's like,
this niglet has talked about me every single day. Everyone since April 15th or so of 2024. Every single day. And he's like, he spends all his time thinking about me and like talking about me. It's like, I really don't talk about him that much at all. I'll like go to shows that are talking about him from time to time and I'm laughing and I'll like share a story or whatever because it's funny. That's about it. But he brings me up every single day for 2 fucking years. This is the loser who took out a restraining order on me, by the way. Again, after talking about the most private aspects of my life to the internet for no reason, no discernible purpose, stuff that was never meant to be shared to anybody, that I had gone to great lengths to keep very private, all of that, he just decided to spill it. Also, very possibly snitched to the cops. Hard to say. We don't need to get into that too much. But this guy, seriously, since you can go check his show, it's since about April 15th, has been talking about me every single day. It's wild. It's wild. But that being said, I'll talk about him from time to time, yeah. Especially when he says something retarded.
It's like Katie Heron with Regina George. She just can't stop with the word vomit. It keeps coming up.
Yeah,
so apparently he said something, and this is a very interesting thing he does, and it came up on Hughesy's show from Pat Dixon.
Okay, now I want you to pay attention to what he's going to tell you roughly what I said. And then he's going to go into his explanation to tell you why I'm a liar. I want you to pay very, very close attention to the details of his explanation. Because I don't say what I can't prove, especially when it comes to this faggot.
Pat Dixon is an interesting guy, too. He's a guy who's infinite times smaller than we are. But he's always had...
I met Pat Dixon. He is shorter. He is shorter. That's true.
Had this weird bug up his ass about me. I've never been on a show with the guy. I've never met...
I did not inspect his ass for a bug. That is... So I can't verify that one.
Met the guy... Never really covered the guy at all, but he has special daggers for me. I do that to people. Well, anyway, Nick is in this chat. Bunch of dudes are hanging out in some chick's chat. That is not...
There are no women in the Pretty Antisocial podcast chat. 0. None. Just a bunch of guys hanging around. Also, so what? Why would that be weird?
Not simp worthy at all. And, unfortunately, Nick is still living in over 2 years ago, which again, I
think he meant, unfortunately, Nick is still living. I think that's actually what he meant, but he did have to go ahead and close, continue that phrase.
Fine.
What? No! Don't do that.
Sad. I find it pathetic, but whatever. All right. People cope the way they cope.
That's true.
I've never been addicted to hard drugs or addicted to alcohol. There, but for the grace of God, go on.
And again, here we go. Number 2. This guy would drink a 12-pack of beer every day and say that he doesn't drink much. And I don't care. I'm not judging anybody. He had this long conversation with me one time. He's just bitching and moaning about how everybody keeps calling him an alcoholic and he's not addicted to alcohol. And it was like, you start drinking at 9 a.m. I'm a proper liquor, and I wait until 9 p.m. to start drinking. He started drinking at 9 a.m. every day, but I don't care. It was just a thing.
Recovery is different for everybody. I just don't think hanging on to spite is a good idea. He tells this story.
You don't think hanging on to spite's a good idea? It has that HRO thing going, I guess. Sorry. To me, this is unreal. Because again, so I told him the world would be a better place if he killed himself. That was back, I think, April 18th of 2024. And then he blocked me, and then that was fine. I was okay. I didn't ever really need to talk about him again. Until again, he spilled my entire life onto the internet. Again, some of the most private shit that did not need to be out.
This is a magic that Nick has. Is he lies?
Every little thing he does is
constantly,
magic.
all the time. Pretty much, if his mouth is moving, he's lying.
That's true.
But he lies in a way where I think he convinces himself it's true. He takes a sliver of truth and then extrapolates it into something not resembling reality. And he said this thing about me that Pat brought up on Hughesy's show, or I never would have known about it.
This is great.
He said, Aaron asked me for gas money. Now, first of all, I'm an adult male. Never asked anybody for gas money before.
Oh, come on.
Gas money? When did I ask Nick for gas money? When the fuck did And then I went, oh, shit, that's right.
That's right.
Listen to this. So remember.
Listen to how I asked Nick for gas money. I love that. That's beautiful in and of itself right there. He's like, oh, then I remembered I did do that. Digital Boone says, did April have no Wi-Fi in the guest house? Were you attracted to her? I'm not asking if you did anything with her. April didn't have Wi-Fi in the guest house because she was almost never there. She had stuff there. And the only reason she didn't have Wi-Fi in the guest house is because she didn't have it set up. That the moment that she was there at the guest house more, I keeps calling it a guest house because I'm adopting what you said. It wasn't a guest house. It's just a second house that we owned on an adjacent property. There's been some misinformation that it was on the same property. It was not. It was on an adjacent property. But like the driveways are actually far, like not far away, probably a fifth of a mile to a quarter mile. You have to like go around. The properties touch in the back. They touch ass cheeks. So, but she just didn't stay there very often. Was I attracted to her? Absolutely. She's a gorgeous woman. And very, very cool. Like just in general. So I wish her nothing but the best. That's all a past time and everything. And I want her to have a fantastic life. But yeah, she's beautiful. And then Digital Boone says, also, didn't Aaron have a back door to your Wi-Fi or something installed where he could spy on your activities? No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess that's possible, but I don't think so. He's not like tech savvy or anything. So here we go. Holly Movie Star says, is he upset your PP was a better masseuse than he? You know what? No comment. Yes. Damn it. Keep doing
that. If you know the story, Nick's nanny quit on him because he was a junkie and she was fucking tired of it. So she quit. She left.
The nanny had no idea about any drugs. Like, this is the thing Aaron does. He just makes shit up. Aaron doesn't like me, thinks I'm a junkie or whatever, was a junkie. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But so then everybody does. And everybody knows this all the time. So that's very common. But no, that's not why she quit. Why she quit is not something I'm going to share. But let's just say it didn't have anything to do with drugs.
Nick can't take care of his children. So
I've never been able to.
Asked me, she's like, I'm going to volunteer to take up some of the driving and some of the getting food.
This is also not true. This was his idea. He wanted April to take a break from his show because the chat was being mean to her quite a bit. I don't know if you probably don't want to challenge me on this. I keep double clicking and my fingers.
And groceries and stuff like that. I'm going to help out. And obviously, Nick's not going to step up to the plate and do it himself. So he's going to let her do it.
Again, I don't know how I ever got to this far with children. I think I probably crashed out around level 3. But he's right. I have no idea how to get groceries or drive kids anywhere or raise 5 children. Like, I've never done it. This is a ludicrous statement coming from someone who doesn't have his own kids.
And I stepped in. I went, hey. Because I saw her getting taken advantage of.
This is the crazy. Sorry, I don't mean to keep pausing it. What he's saying right now is to pay attention to. This is the wildest shit ever. Because he's going to frame this in a very particular way. All right?
Going to completely use her to let her do all of these things. And I said, look, if she's going to do this, you're going to
Look at him acting tough. Like he talked to me about this in some tough way. You're going to compensate her. Blah, 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 blah. Let's just say compensation was given. Plenty of it.
compensate her for gas, and you're going to compensate her for the groceries.
Yes.
We're not here to buy your kids food.
Yeah.
We're not here to do the running for your Rugrats. That's your job as a parent. So
she literally was there to do the running for the Rugrats. She was being hired as a nanny. So I don't know where that came from.
I said, if she does this for you, and she's a big...
By the way, the prior nanny bought whatever. Bought literally whatever was needed, wanted, and then I got all the receipts every month. She spent $30,000 a year on food, snacks, and God knows what else. So, you know, when April moved in, I handed her my debit card. But let's keep going.
Girl, she can do whatever she wants. You're going to compensate her for her
You're
gas
gonna
for
compensate
running
her.
the kids around, and you're going to compensate her for the fucking groceries. Point, period, end of story. Oh, and by the way, still went and bought shit. He never picked up a tab. Never once. So
I bought everything while we were hanging out. It actually made him mad because I would pay for the meals if we were going to go hang out in the Twin Cities or something. I would buy the hotel rooms. I paid for everything. He never asked for a dime for drugs, which he did plenty of.
Just a great guy I am. What can I say? But it's wild that I don't know if he believes what he said or if he's just so stuck in 2 years ago that he's like, I have to say this story about Aaron because maybe if Aaron looks bad, my arrest will go away. I'll have never been on drugs.
That's what I'm trying to
will
do.
Not have fallen apart.
Actually.
Now, obviously, that's not going to happen.
Oh, it isn't? Fuck.
But I think that's got to be the mindset. So I just wanted to clear up a little myth before it festered into fact. In reality, I was trying to stop April from being taken advantage of by a lazy, responsibility-dodging junkie.
Exactly.
And I said, pay her for, do the right thing.
Do the
pay her
right
for the
thing.
fucking gas she's using doing your job because your nanny couldn't stand being around you anymore.
Yep.
And comp her for the fucking groceries she buys.
Comp her for the groceries.
He's allergic to it. All right.
I gave her a house, a 3,500 square foot house on 7 3/4 acres of land to live in rent free for as long as she wanted. For as long as she wanted. That was 7 months. I paid for her truck for 6 or 7 months. I can't remember exactly when the transition took place. I paid for all of her groceries. I bought her clothes, whatever she needed, anything and everything. This is like the most insane thing I've heard. We're almost
all right. I'm seeing some very funny things in the chat. Some of them are a little. You guys, look. You guys are very fucking mean. You guys are mean girls.
In fact.
By the way, somebody said you had Pat Dixon on your channel once. You interviewed him. Oh, my God. If I did,
This is all that matters. He's got 20 seconds of talking about Pat Dixon. Not important. Now, wouldn't it be a shame if there existed some evidence? Wouldn't it be a shame if somehow, I don't know how this could possibly happen, if there is a way to actually whip out a little bit of proof. That would be nuts. I don't know what to do with that. What is that? What are you doing? Oh, just turn off a light. Cool. All right, give me just a second here. I'm going to share with you 2 never before seen private messages. The first one's only a partial message. just because the rest of the message wasn't really necessary for it. But it's okay because there's a second one. And this first one is from April. Okay. Notice the quotes. Quote, okay, please try to get a card for gas and groceries. My household finances are getting strained. Oh man, not gas and groceries. And then she says, we all need to have a discussion about this, I think, about if I'm going to do this work for y'all, taking over for Cheney, which I'd really like to do, etc., etc., etc. So that's kind of interesting, that little quote there. But of course, that's just the precursor to is this yeah. Let's see about that. Let's see. Remember, the noble savage here is telling everybody that he straightened me out. So I didn't take advantage of April, right? So I didn't take advantage of April. Like that would be crazy for me to do that. And that actually would, but here we go. Oh, is it this one? So here's from Aaron. Also, sorry to bring this up, but if she's going to be there driving every day, the gas consumption is tasting something on his mind. He meant starting to eat into the business balance. And the groceries and fast food are starting to add up on this end too. Is there anything we can work out for while she's doing kids driving stuff? That is that is his message. His message isn't about April. His message was never about, because I didn't take advantage of her. Again, I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. I happily, took over finances. She got divorced. Things were, really tough for her. And I did that until she got employed, which was from, they split up in early April. Weird. And then that was through, I believe, December of 2024. So, of course I paid for everything. Like what an insane proposition. But like this idea that he was like, she needs to be compensated. It's never, ever about anyone else with Aaron. It is never once about anyone else. He's a complete lying faggot. And the thing is, one day, I guess maybe he'll learn. I don't say any of this stuff without being able to prove it. Not a single fucking thing. Every single story is backed up by text messages. There's a bunch of other stories. There's a bunch of other things I could talk about, but I can't back all of them up. So there's no purpose in bringing them up.
Why does the sad, washed-up podcaster Aaron Amholter keep sneaking back to the Nick Salt Lick like a desperate cum-guzzling deer? Mega Micropeen vibes.
He is trying to generate controversy because his show, the numbers are they're trending downward. And, there's all sorts of reasons that can happen. I'm not even going to sit here and shit on him. I think he does a terrible show just in general, but so what? I have personal animus. And so that could be, I could be biased, right? I'm not opposed to that concept or anything like that. And I'll happily say I'm likely very biased against him. So I think his show's kind of trash, but so what? That doesn't mean anything. all sorts of reasons why a show can have a downward trend in views and interaction and engagement. He's trying to start a fight because he can't figure out how to get his own show. Going. But hey, that's just how it is. Speaking of how it is, what's up, Bronca? He says, if you're demanding money off your woman, you may be a pimp. If you're begging for money off your woman, you may be a cuck. Two different things. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. And again, all I did was say that, because I think the context of my discussion on Pretty Antisocial, which was just in the comments, was that I don't think his finances are as stable as he likes to represent. That shouldn't surprise anybody at all. He's mired in all sorts of legal bills and who knows what else. And his show isn't making as much money. Times are tough out in the streets of YouTube. Like it's hard. You talk to a lot of people. If they're honest with you, a lot of people have been feeling the pressure of, just sort of reduce stuff. We're in a recession. Like we're not in a recession officially, but we're in a inflation heavy economy, and money towards live streamers isn't as prevalent as it was. There's also a lot more live streamers out in similar genres than there were a couple years back. So things are just different. You have to work in different ways, and you have to have different expectations. But like, I don't think his money situation's all that good. I mean, he was complaining to me about not having gas money for the driving that, and I think I mentioned for the driving that April was doing. But it's amazing, like that little comment right there completely set him off on this, where he literally generated a fantasy of one confronting me ever, which the frustrating thing is he has to know, you wouldn't ever have to confront me on this, especially at that time. I was happy to pay for anything. It didn't matter. I was in a situation where money was insanely good due to the Rumble contract that I had, and just things were going fantastic and everything was good. I had no problem paying for things. And so no complaining. I would happily do that. So he wouldn't have to do anything. We literally didn't have time to set up payment for her from the time that she started working with us to the time that, they broke up. It was fucking crazy. Oh, do we have a Broken Baker raid? Welcome, Broken Baker and your viewers. We love your viewers. We will take them. Digital Boon says, Aaron abused an open, authenticated session of some sort to listen in on the inner workings of your life. I'll let it go. Were you driving your Mustang when the cop showed up at your house? No, I was in my SUV. Digital Boon, if you want to email me about that, I'm not aware of anything. I'll read about it and stuff and see if I know anything about it at all. But I'm not aware of anything like that. I've never accused him of anything like that. Here's the thing with him. He didn't need to do any of that stuff because he just lies. He just lies. Again, this is a person who told the cops that he saw me preparing a laptop-sized pile of cocaine that might fit in a that might fit in a gallon-sized bag. He's talking about me having a kilo of cocaine. I've never had a kilo of cocaine, ever. I saw my dealer with a kilo of cocaine once. I never had a kilo of cocaine. That's crazy. That's so much. Those cost, I don't remember the amount. It's like $20,000 to $40,000 for one of these things. If I can't remember the exact math, but it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So anyway. But he had this, I don't know if it was driven by fear or whatever of what was going on. The most I ever had was 1.5 ounces. So that's it. And I was prosecuted for the remainder of that, so like, I don't mind saying that. That's just the most I ever had at any point. So, oh, this is good. GLP 1989 says, Chrissy saw your manhood, right? I don't think so, unless she was like looking at the bulge in like my swimsuit or something. Like I've been in the same room as Chrissy like 2 or 3 times. We were at the Hilton at Anime Matsuri. We were at the swimming pool for a little bit. So like that would be the closest. But no, I'm not aware of her ever seeing my manhood. I don't even, do I get to say I have manhood? Like I'm kind of skinny. Play. Why? Sorry, the super tip froze up for a second. Why isn't it playing? Oh, motherfucker. Super tip is not playing at the moment. We'll go back to that in a little bit. GLP 1989 says, you're the only one she didn't interact with. Well, that's fine. Like, I like Chrissy just fine as a friend. And like that's the absolute extent of our, like, that's it. We've only just been friends. So what she does with other people, I don't care. I'm not interested in it. I've seen some of the rumors and stuff. I don't know anything about those, so I can't comment on them, and I'm not gonna do that. People are welcome to say what they want, but that's not in my purview. Let's see. Grand Theft Otter says, watching from Scotland. Thanks for the years of entertainment. Trial streams have helped the 12-hour night shifts fly by. Glad to see you getting back at it. All the best. Hey, all the best back to you. Thank you very much. Okay. Ms. Divine has either become a YouTube member, or I thought you already were, so maybe she upgraded. One of those two. I appreciate whichever one it is. Thank you. Holly Movie Star, is he upset your PP was a better masseuse than he? We already read that one. Holly says he's afraid of your mastery in long schlong jitsu. Well, there are stories about that, but I've already told them. We don't need to revisit it. 300-yard wink says, why does he pay to yell at a retard beside him? I don't know. Very confusing to me as well. Michael W. says, should bring Bronca up for the Chud the Builder segment. I mean, I'm always willing to have Bronca on the show. I don't know if he wants to jump in tonight or anything. He'd be welcome to, but we'll do it. It's the next segment here, so we'll do it whether he's with me or not. But he may just want to enjoy the show from the audience. It's up to him. Bronca Show says, I saw a kilo once and I immediately left the building out of fear. It was a DEA sting. It's not something you encounter very often. It was so fucking crazy to hear his, and maybe one day I'll play his, segments of his police interview. Like maybe, because again, I don't say anything I can't prove. So maybe one day I will. Right now, I'm not super interested in doing that. GLP says, thanks for being a sport, plus take a compliment. I appreciate it. Thank you. Which compliment am I taking? Bronca says, have you, quote, someone asking him, have you ever used any drugs? He says, I came of age in the 1980s in New York City. The drugs were everywhere. Fortunately, I was poor, dabbled only. Yeah, me too, Bronca. Me too. The Big Sky has gifted 5 memberships. What's up? Thank you so much, Big Sky. Really appreciate it. And again, guys, if you get a membership from someone, just give them a little thank you. GLP says, manhood, take it. Oh, yes. Well, yeah. Someone else can too. Nazar says, Bronca, a real ass wigger. So like just on that subject, I find that subject a little weird, like in general for guys, because, like guys might get complicated. Guys might get complicated. God, I am gay sometimes. Guys might get complimented on their, man parts or whatever. But like, it's not like it's not like you went to the gym and did like dick lifts or something for a while. So it's always kind of it's a little strange, right? But I'll take them. Sure. Okay. If you want to see it, you got to join the really high secret membership level. That's not a real thing. Okay. Let's do this. The other day we started watching a Bronca review. We started watching a Bronca review of a Legal Bites video. And I think we need to go back to that. Digital Boone says, you come across as being honorable. Keep on keeping on, brother. Keep Christ in your heart. Always has been. Always has been. You can keep focused on God and Christ and stuff. And you can also make some mistakes in that time. And you can have maybe some disagreements that you find out when you try them out, they don't work out so well. Those things can happen, but God's always been faithful to me, and hopefully always will. I really have no idea what's up with the super tip thing. Let me see if I can refresh that. Will it work now?
This weirdo looks like a felcher. He has the face of Beavis and the hairline of Vegeta and the voice of a master cocksucker.
Whew. Wow. That's accurate. That's accurate. Okay, so next thing's next. Let's just go ahead and do this. We're going to go to Bronca. Dar Scibio says, I feel sorry for you, Nick at Ricada Law. You're a hapless druggie. Sounds good. I'll take it. Valhalla Wait says, happy early birthday, Heather May. Ricada Law, any well wishes for a 70th birthday for Heather? 70th birthday. Is she watching? Is Heather in the room with us now? Let's see. Any well wishes for her 70th birthday? Heather, 70 years on this planet. 70 years of toil, of struggle, of elation, of success, of making dreams, chasing them down, and seeing them come true, failing masterfully, and falling into things that you never expected. The stories that you could tell, the life that you lived, is something the rest of us can only fathom, and probably not well. So cheers to you. Happy birthday, girl. Keep going. May you have 70 more. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna. I don't know if they've got that tech ready yet, but like if they do, I hope you get it. I hope you get 70 more. Cheers, sister. All right. We are Andrew Bronca. Bronca's out here putting out 10 billion videos a day. So
earlier, according to the arrest warrant,
the premeditation.
So here's what we got to do. I started it the other day, but can we start it over? Are you guys okay with that? We were about 9 minutes in, I think. And I just really think that it's worth it to start it, like to get it from the start. And in case people missed it or whatever, if you guys need a refresher on what's going on, jumping in the middle. Plus, we can find new insults. Lower the volume a little bit. Okay. So we've got this. I'm sorry. I don't know why she would set her camera up like this. Like, I'm not even trying to be a dick, but like, Brosif, what are you doing? That's not a good look. Bronca, come on, buddy. You know you love watching yourself. He says, crap. Now I have to stay up late to watch myself. He also says that review of Legal Bites was what the Hail Mary Project would have looked like if the lead was a bad female lawyer. Dude, I just watching the beginning of this. She's so far off the rails. Like it's crazy how bad the analysis is. GLP says Quarter Pounder hasn't learned to laugh at himself. You have. I've always been able to laugh at myself. It might take a minute because, like sometimes like the, what you got to laugh at is pretty hard to deal with, but, it might take a minute, but we always get there. All right. And Bronca has the hollow eyes of like an EMT on his 4th shift in a row. I picked up everybody's overtime. It's like, how many kids have you pulled out of the pool, Bronca? All right, here we go.
according to local reporting, at around 1:15 p.m., Chud walked out of that hearing into Millennium Plaza right outside the courthouse. He claimed
Wait a minute. She's going to skip right over that little embedded image? I thought that embedded image was interesting.
Talk about what happened after the hearing. According to local
Bronca, please don't ever mention legal bites and embedded, like anything involving a bed ever again. Disgusting. Horrifying.
Reporting at around 1:15.
What's that say? At about 1:15 p.m., Dalton Etherly got in a confrontation in Millennium Plaza. One unnamed witness said a man punched Etherly. That would be Joshua Fox. Now, that fact is relevant to Dalton's claim of self-defense.
Is it, Bronca? We're going to criticize you. Is it relevant that he was punched? Because was he still being punched? It might be relevant. I think that's what you meant to say. I think that's what you meant. It might be relevant. But what if the combat was over? What if he was returning to the violence? You don't know. You don't know. You weren't there.
Just legal bites. Legal bites. You don't want to mention that? That there was an attack upon Dalton Etherly?
Tiny Dottore says Legal Eagle is hot. Sorry. And Legal Mindset too. Look, I'm not going to comment on the other Andrew, Legal Mindset. But Legal Eagle is 5'1". So that doesn't factor in typically when you see him on camera, because this is a true fact that I 100% verified. And this isn't even a lie. So he had all of the furniture in all of his videos built 30% smaller so that he looked like a normal person.
You don't think that's relevant to his claim of self-defense?
He claimed he encountered a group of guys pointing and laughing at him.
Would you guys not know that Legal Eagle is tiny? Do you guys not know this? Let's see. I'm going to find a picture of him next to some people because it's rare. It's rare, but it exists. I've seen it. Lawyer Devin Stone. God, I want to see Devin walk up to Trump. Here we go. This is one way, like, this isn't perfect. This isn't perfect. And I don't know who he's with in this picture, but, okay, here we go. Can you guys see this? He's sitting in a chair next to another man. And that man is towering over him. Absolutely towering over him. God, I wish I knew where. There's a picture one time where he's walking like with next, I think maybe Attorney Tom met him or something. He is so little. Anyway, we don't need to focus on that right now. Real Patriot Party says, we did this for Dad a few years ago in memoriam. Dad passed in 2012 at age 84, but Mom's still around and now she's 93. So here's to Mom, 93 years on this rock. Raise a tea or a soda. Job is done. Cheers. Cheers to Mom of Real Patriot Party. Amen. May she continue to persist, being able to share her love and wisdom with the world.
Him. And instead of just walking away, he decided to confront them. Here it is in his own words in a statement to first responders.
Wait a minute. Does he say he decided to confront them? Or is that her saying that? What he said was, I had to defend myself. That's in quotes. He reportedly said he was walking past a man who was laughing and pointing at him. When Etherly approached him, the man told him to walk away. Where's the confrontation? You're allowed to walk up to people in public and have a conversation with them. If they tell you to go away, you go away. That's not. If I walk up to somebody and ask him for the time or ask him how they're doing, am I engaged in a confrontation? Where's the word confrontation here?
In Massachusetts,
in his own words, in a statement to first responders after the shooting, which he live streamed to his audience on Pump.
I walked past him. He was sitting on the corner. I walked up to him because they were pointing at me. They were laughing. They were pointing at me, and I said, "What's up, guys? How y'all doing?" I said, "Y'all like the new suit?"
Where's the confrontation?
He said, "Walk away from me." I walked away from him. He came back up to me. He literally said, "I have PTSD. I feel like I'm in." He said, "You start saying all that chimp out shit to me, I'm gonna hit you." He hit me.
Speaking of chimp out, this is the 10-year anniversary of Harambe's death that was announced by the White House, in case anybody didn't know. Now, this is amazing because there's a set of facts here that is happening. So this guy, Branca's covering this and saying, here's where's the confrontation? What's this? But here's one of the critical facts of this as well. The guy says, I've got PTSD. You start saying that shit, I'm going to hit you. It's not just a guy saying, hey man, like fuck off with that chimp out nonsense or stop saying racist shit. Don't say racist stuff around us or else. He not only does he say that he's going to hit them, he enriches, we'll say that's not a legal term, but just in concept, he enriches that statement by saying, I have PTSD. I have a condition. I'm informing you of a condition. Why is he informing him of this condition? This is I'm not saying it's a true threat, but this is the threat. This is a bristling. This is the porcupine's needles going up, right? He's like, I've got PTSD. He's saying, I'm really going to hit you. It's like, because I've got a cause and a purpose to do so because I have this mental issue.
Started wailing on me even after I had to defend myself by shooting him. He's still wailing on me.
But here's an important detail. According to the arrest warrant, Chud turned his body in a bladed stance and reached for a firearm in his jacket pocket before the physical altercation happened.
Yes.
Also, one witness said that the other man punched.
So I know Andrew's going to cover this, but reaching for your gun is not brandishing or a threat. reaching for your gun in preparation because like maybe you're nervous, whatever. You reach for your gun. It's different. You pull the gun out and point it at someone. We're crossing into a different territory at that point. But you just reach your hand in your pocket where your gun is, like, fuck. God, you know, thinking about it, like, God, I really don't want to get my ass kicked. Because that's what's going through everybody rational's head when someone is like saying they're unhinged and they're going to hurt you. He's like, I really don't want to get my ass kicked. That's not fun. So you go and you reach for the gun. That's not a threat. That's not a brandishing. Brandishing is to take it a little bit further, to draw and often to point at someone. GLP says, if you want views, cover crazy suits not in the news. Well, yeah, it's not always easy to find stuff like that. That's the hardest part. It's this goes all the way back to the Maddox lawsuit. When I did that lull suit and covered it, people were like, you have to find other funny lawsuits like this. It's like, these come around once in a generation. Like you have to have like a set of facts that match up just right to have the suit go nuts and be super stupid. So I would love to, but it's not always that simple. Michael W says, especially if some dude came up and said, I have PTSD, I'm going to hit you. Exactly.
Him, and then 3 to 4 shots were fired. Apparently, surveillance footage even captured a ricocheting projectile hitting nearby walls, which is important for aggravating factors about safety to other people in the area. After this scuffle, both men were transported to area hospitals. And the other man, after he was hit multiple times.
Not Bronco Show says, not that legal mindset runs that way, but if it's legal mindset versus legal eagle is definitely the bottom. That's true. But I think eagle is just the bot. Like that's his lot. You know, he's good with it.
Why did these women reporting on this case, they don't want to say Joshua Fox's name? The journalist this morning was the same way when we read our news report. He's always the other man. Why isn't he Joshua Fox?
Were fired. Apparently, surveillance footage even captured a ricocheting projectile hitting nearby walls, which is important for aggravating factors about safety to other people in the area. After this scuffle, both men were transported to area hospitals.
And again, not that it is important to questions about safety of other people. It might be. Just because there's a ricochet somewhere doesn't mean that we're automatically implicating the safety of others. There have to be others. The ricochet. But as Andrew's going to cover, like it doesn't. If it's self-defense, none of that matters.
And the other man, after he was hit multiple times, was rushed to Vanderbilt for emergency surgery. Meanwhile, Chud, genius that he is, apparently shot himself in the arm in the process. But after getting treatment for that...
You think Legal Bites has ever been in a physical fight in her life? You think she's ever carried a gun for personal protection? You think she has any understanding of how difficult it is to defend yourself with a gun when a large adult male has your neck in a headlock? You think she has that experience? But anyone who's had that experience, who's had to live through that experience, defend themselves against that experience, who manages to injure themselves in the course of defending themselves against that lethal attack, they're just not a genius.
Multiple times, was rushed to Vanderbilt for emergency surgery. Meanwhile, Chud, genius that he is, apparently shot himself in the arm in the process. But after getting...
he shot himself in the arm in the process. Yeah, if you, like Bronco's saying, if you're in a headlock and you're having to use your gun and fire it, you know, it might pass through the person. It might deflect off of a rib or an arm or like a femur or something, and then pass out of their body and into you. All sorts of different shit can happen. As far as has Legal Bites ever... Well, I mean, I think she's probably had an altercation or two with a sandal, like trying to get those on. Like, look at her face. I think it's been flattened.
Getting treatment for that wound, he was then booked into Montgomery County Jail. After all of this, Chud was officially charged with 4 counts. Those were attempted criminal homicide, employing a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony, aggravated assault, and...
I wonder if she's going to mention that self-defense, the legal defense of self-defense, is a perfect legal defense to every one of these charges.
I bet not.
That if it was lawful self-defense, no crime was committed as a matter of law.
Polymarket says odds are about 4%.
Reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. But for purposes of this discussion, we're going to zero in on the big one, attempted murder. And to explain what that means under Tennessee law, we have to break it down into two parts. First, there's the elements of first-degree murder. And second, there's the elements of criminal attempt. Now, one way to define first-degree murder under Tennessee law is a premeditated and intentional killing of another. So we've got...
I have to confess, I have not bothered stepping through the elements of these criminal charges. I just didn't think it was necessary. I figure most people know what murder is and most people know what attempt is. But
come on, Bronca. No one's ever heard of murder before. This is a novel crime. Digital Boone says, don't worry, Bronca. This country will be bereft of our firearms rights soon enough. Hello, Australia.
But I guess that's what we're in store for. So, all right, everybody get your law school caps on.
Three essential elements. Law, we have to break it down into two parts. First, there's the elements of...
And again, no, you don't. This is something that bothers me about lawyers in general, but also LawTube. It's like, we have to do this and this and this. You really don't. Like, if you nail down the core legal issues. I mean, I guess if there's, if there's some sort of step to it or whatever, where you get past like a motion and then it's like, nope, well, that defense is taken away. Then that's possible. But in this, a self-defense defense is going to carry all the way through trial. You're not eliminating it. So there really isn't much reason to do this. Chud's attorneys in the defense of Chud, if he gets attorneys, right? Like they might just be stripped away or whatever. But in the defense of Chud, their job is to raise the self-defense issue, and they're going to have to admit basically every element of attempted murder. They're going to have to admit the grabbing of the gun, the pulling of the trigger, the intent to shoot the other person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to have to go through all that. So there's really not much purpose in it. The state isn't even really going to have to prove out the elements, because to use the self-defense defense, they're going to have to admit the elements. It's kind of necessary for most of that to happen. So there's, in some cases you could say, well, on this crime and this crime and this crime, the defense team, what they need to do is be watching for opportunities where the state maybe fails to meet their burden on one of the elements of the crime. You don't here. You're going to meet the burden. Yeah, I pulled out a gun. I shot him because he's a not nice person who's hitting me, and I didn't want to die. So I was in fear for my life, and I shot him. Have you ever seen one of these colored people hit? Like, could you imagine if he went full on racist in the courtroom? That'd be kind of funny. But like you could picture exactly what has to happen here. There's not going to be like a partial element or something missed by the prosecution. There's just not an opportunity to do it. The defense is going to have to raise these issues.
I mean, it's so, I just don't know why we're doing this. I mean, why bother going through I'm willing to assume that every element of every criminal charge has been satisfied for purposes of discussion. Let's pretend that Dalton meets the elements of every one of these criminal charges. It doesn't matter if it was lawful self-defense. If it was lawful self-defense, it's not a crime. So why would you bother going through the elements? Just assume that they're all satisfied. I mean, clearly he shot the guy. Is there any doubt that if you shoot someone like this, it's attempted murder? Unless it's legally justified? I don't know. I'm not sure I see the merit here, but okay. It's not my show. It's Legal Bites.
First-degree murder. And second, there's the elements of criminal attempt. Now, one way to define first-degree murder under Tennessee law is a premeditated and intentional killing of another. So we've got three essential elements. First, there is premeditation. Second, there's intent to kill another person. And third, there's the actual killing of another person. Now let's start with the element of premeditation. This means that the intent to kill had to be formed before the act itself took place. In other words, the mental state has to be sufficiently free from excitement and passion to be capable of...
Well, something is free of excitement and passion. Oh, the irony. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having too much fun.
This means that the intent to kill had to be formed...
I'm sorry, I love that little aside. He's like, whoo, gotta calm down. The Bronco Show says, community, you have to cover trials that will make you millions. Us, we're not saying no. Exactly. It's a good strategy, and I love it. Let's do it.
Before the act itself took place.
Hey, what's up,
In other words,
Camelot?
the mental state has to be sufficiently free from excitement and passion to be capable of premeditation. But, and this is crucial to understand, there is no minimum amount of time for premeditation. That decision to kill can also actually be made in an instant. Now, when the prosecution can prove everything except that the victim actually died.
Yeah, premeditation... I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid and I learned about premeditated murder, I always thought of it as like setting something up. Like you got a hole dug, you got like a bear trap, and you got your sledgehammer, and you put the bear trap right outside the toddler's room, and wait, you know what I mean? But like that was kind of like the idea, because no one ever explains it when you're little. And I think a lot of people don't know, but premeditation happens in the moment before the action. When a decision is made prior to the act. And that can mean within a moment. Can mean. It doesn't always mean within a moment. Can mean within a moment. If you pull your gun out and point it at someone, and you point the gun center mass or at their head or anywhere really, and you decide to pull that trigger, you've premeditated. You're going to try and kill someone. That's it. Guns are deadly force. That's that. So that's the premeditation. You've made the decision prior to the act. Making that decision at the time of the act is different. Sometimes people will pull a gun, and before they decide to shoot someone, the gun could they could accidentally squeeze a trigger by mistake. Like I didn't want to pull the trigger. Like I didn't know, or I didn't know the gun was loaded, or I wasn't trying to shoot the person. I was trying to shoot the air, or whatever it is. If they didn't manifest that decision prior to pulling the trigger, then you don't have first degree murder. Now, these things are hard to argue, but that's what lawyers are for. But that it's just that manifestation of a decision prior to the act. It can be a moment. It's not always a moment, though. Some lawyers and commentators get that wrong because they're like, oh, yeah, it's just like a moment before. It's not always.
We look at criminal attempt. And under Tennessee law for criminal attempt, a person commits it when they act with the intent to cause a result and take a substantial step toward committing the offense. So put it all together, and here's what the prosecution really needs to show here. First, Chud intended to kill the guy. Second, he formed that intent before he pulled.
Kind of hate her stupid, shitty graphics, because that's the stuff that I don't do that. And YouTube loves that crap. It's like, God, this video sucks. A bunch of people are getting a retard's take on self-defense law because of how the algorithm promotes a video like the one Legal Bytes made, even though it's completely wrong. All of the info in it is fucking bad. All of it. But it's got little text bubbles that come up. It's like, YouTube's like, oh, that's great. We should do that more. I see text. Anyway. Katie K says, where is your pimp attire? It's, I didn't put it on today because it's warm. It's very warm, but I'll be dressed up again. Maybe tomorrow, the next show. But yeah. Oh, there was, we got a couple chats here. Grifty says, what up? All my ninjas, hashtag free Chud. I agree. I don't even, so here's the thing. I don't know Chud, the builder. I don't follow him. I don't care. I have no investment in him. I may not even like the guy. If we met, I don't know, provocateurs like in-person provocateurs who go up and do something. They're not really my speed like that, trying to get a response. So it's not, it's not my sort of thing. I don't know if I would like get along with him or not. I don't care. This looks like at present self-defense. Now there could always be some facts that are out there, but we'll see. Jeff Smith says, I was subjected to seeing that Keanu chick recently from a Simpcast Brittany Venti was commenting on, and it confirmed everything you yelled at her from that Dabbleverse stream you were on with her. Yeah, she is the dumbest fucking hole on the planet. She is retarded. Flat out. Undiagnosed Downs or something. No, actually Down syndrome people are way smarter and happier than her. She's just a weirdo. But there's no purpose in actually trying to carry on a conversation with her. You could just set up like a piece of plywood, or you could talk to an African baby or whatever. It'd be more productive.
Nick, how dare you tell people that I am a manlet? Now I am going to have to make another video of me fake crying for internet clout, but please don't tell them about my micro-peen.
Thank you.
Nick, Nicholas, Nikita, dip your hot flaming nutsack in ice water because jealous, spiteful Aaron is a fictional character I play on a reality show. I'm not crazy. Who said crazy? Psst. Got any blow?
Aaron, bring me your micropene so I can give John an injection. Oh, wait. John's dead.
John's dead is never going to not be funny to me. Digital Boone says exactly. And then when their politician says we should ban evil guns because guns are bad, they flock to what will impress negatively on the human experience. Self-preservation is king. So here we go. Back to this.
Pull the trigger. And third, he took...
No, okay. So the prosecution doesn't actually have to prove that Chud intended to kill the guy. He just has to prove he shot the guy. We're presumed to intend the probable outcomes of our actions. If you shoot someone, it's just baked in the cake. You were
pointing a gun. This is what Brown is saying. Pointing a gun at someone and pulling the trigger is deadly force. If you point a gun at someone and pull the trigger, I don't care if you're shooting him in the kneecap. You're like, I'm John Wayne over here or whatever. Like, I'm going to shoot him in the hands. Nope. You point a gun at someone and pull the trigger, because the logical outcome is that, one, if you're trying to shoot someone in the arm or the leg, like to debilitate them, you're a fucking idiot and probably not a good shot. And so you're probably going to kill him anyway. Two, even if you shoot someone in the leg to disable them, you could easily strike a femoral artery or some other, serious, you cause serious damage that will lead to death at a very short order. So all of these things are possible. The automatic presumption is you point a gun at someone, you pull the trigger, you intend to cause deadly, serious bodily harm, you intend to cause death. It's deadly force. Every time. Unless there's like a, rubber bullet or some weird thing like that. Let's see. Mo Strote says, you liked the toe. I don't trust your judgment now. People have asked me about that. They're like, how could you hang around that guy, etc. It's like, I'm not saying that he was great beforehand, but he did change. That's 100% true. And I think April leaving him really broke his psyche somewhat, but he wasn't always insufferable. But I agree with your assessment. Bronger Show says something changes when these female lawyers go post-menopause. Seems they often get angry at all the things. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? And that's how they say it too. Say hello to DC says, this is the first time I've seen her since the Johnny Depp trial. Wasn't a fan with how she reacted to DUI guy. Like she was the queen of lawyers or something and came across as a condescending POS. Absolute. Perfectly described.
Intending to cause them death.
a substantial step towards killing the guy, by firing multiple shots at him. So now that you understand what the prosecution has to prove here for attempted murder, let's talk about the evidence that is currently...
Real quick, before GLP says, Keanu's cute, but ring Bisconti plus smokes inside, pull up. I don't agree on the cute thing. It's not my, she's annoying as a fucking hell. Always has been.
You think she's going to do this for all the 4 felonies?
known to have the guy, by firing multiple shots at him. So now that you understand what the prosecution has to prove here for attempted murder, let's talk about the evidence that is currently known to the public. Get ready, because this is where things really start to get bad for him. First, his own...
Treasure Island says Elite is in her 20s. What, you think you think that stopped her from having menopause? Didn't you take biology?
Live stream statement that he made to the police makes some pretty awful admissions that he is never going to be able to take back.
I walked past him, he was sitting on the corner. I walked up to him because they were pointing at me. They were laughing, they were pointing at me, and I said, "What's up, guys? How y'all doing?" I said, "Y'all like the new suit?" He said, "Walk away from me." I walked away from him. He came back up to me. He literally said, "I have PTSD. I feel like I'm in." He said, "You start saying all that chimp out shit to me, I'm gonna hit you." He hit me, started wailing on me, even after I had to defend myself by shooting him. He was still wailing on me.
Where's your weapon at?
They have everything.
So as you just heard, the first problem here is that he admits that he shot the guy. Then
What? Oh my God. Legal bites. Do you not know how self-defense works?
No, she doesn't.
You think it's a problem?
Of course she doesn't.
For his legal justification that he said he shot the guy? Oh my Lord.
In fact, there aren't many, I have no idea what she might know, how it works. I don't know what it would be. I'm not sure. I don't even remember what practice areas she had. Was it like commercial litigation or something? It was just complete nonsensory. I never saw an impressive legal take from her or any sort of legal philosophy or anything. You have different kind of lawyers, right? You do have workhorse lawyers who they get their thing and they go do it. And that's great. Like they go and they're like, I'm going to do personal injury. I'm going to do truck crashes. And they get really good at it and they develop a good formula for it and they just knock it out over and over and over. They got their negotiation strategy down. They've got all their demand letters. They've got all the threats that they're going to use. They're good with insurance companies. They've made good connections all over the place. And they just go and hammer that out and they're great at it. But you talk to one of those guys and they're not necessarily like a legal philosopher because they're busy. They're busy. They don't have to think about the law. They don't have to think about a thing. And a lot of the extraneous areas of law that they don't practice in, they can fall by the wayside. This is very common for lawyers. You'll often hear them say the most law you will know as a lawyer typically is the day after you pass the bar. That's the highest amount of law you'll probably know. And then after that, you'll start to let things fall away as you specialize and narrow down your practice. This is efficient. This is how it works. There's enough lawyers. Not everybody has to be a generalist. Pretty much everyone can specialize. So this isn't like a strange thing. It's not an insult. That being said, there are other types of thinkers. Some of them happen to be lawyers, and they'll explore the philosophy of law, the reasoning behind it, the purpose or intention of the law. And then those lawyers might be a little bit better at things like synthesizing new arguments, coming up with good analogies, because they're abstract thinkers who are trying to develop something, even if it's just for themselves. Those are the two different things. I know lawyers that are on both sides of that coin, and that's great. It's not saying anything about them. She has not struck me ever never as someone who is deeply enmeshed in the philosophy of law or the purpose of it. So, yeah, I've never been impressed with that.
Oh my Lord. It would have, the problem for him would have been if he said, I didn't shoot the guy. Then he wouldn't have a claim of self-defense. Self-defense is a legal defense of confession and avoidance. You're not confessing to a crime, but you have to confess to the conduct. You have to say, I shot the guy. And then you say, in lawful self-defense. You can't, it would be incoherent to say, I did not shoot that man in lawful self-defense. That wouldn't make any sense.
Not at all.
An intrinsic and necessary, a required component of any claim of justified self-defense is that you did the act. Him saying he shot the guy is not a problem for him. It's a necessary constituent element of his legal justification.
So as you just heard, the first problem here is that he admits that he shot the guy. Then the second big problem is he admits that he intended to shoot the guy. Now, he does say that he was acting in self-defense. But self-defense is—
Oh my God. What was he supposed to say? I shot him by accident? I shot him, but I didn't intend to shoot him. I shot him by accident. I mean, there is a legal defense of accident. That's a legal defense, just like self-defense. But of course, self-defense.
Legal defense of accident is that's a good pause phase for Bronca. Legal defense of accident is there, especially for murder. However, an accident kind of sounds negligent, so you might get a manslaughter charge or something like that. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. Because negligence is not sufficient for manslaughter. It has to be recklessness. An accident can be reckless, but it can all, depending on the action. So I apologize for misstating, but, for a criminal thing, but, you have to have the proper mens rea, and a negligence isn't sufficient in criminal law unless there may be a negligent discharge of a firearm statute that could, maybe that's a felony, and then that comes in. But I believe you might still run up against recklessness. You're creating a dangerous situation by having a gun, by being negligent with it, by drinking, by whatever it is, and then you're discharging that gun, and that tends to get into the recklessness of it. But Bronco Show says, anytime you're asking, what's that female lawyer do for a living, and she's not making millions a year in personal injury, it's a make-work government job. Andrew's giving out the dark behind-the-scenes secrets. John Jelaine says, being emotional about the law is far more dangerous than thinking about the law. That's an interesting point. GLP says, you won't find the best and brightest on YouTube. Now you listen here, motherfucker. Thank you for your $2. Michael W says, so they become a judge. Say hello to DC says, dude, is she paying someone to edit her videos? Are they scamming her on purpose for putting out these trash graphics for her? These trash graphics are the shit. It's the shit that YouTube loves. YouTube loves this type of crap, and they distribute it like crazy. The quality of the information is far less important than the presentation itself.
It has to be an intentional act. You're intentionally using force to neutralize a threat against you. There's no such thing as unintended self-defense. So, okay. All right, well, we're going to get into self-defense now, so this ought to be good.
An argument here is that he admits that he shot the guy. Then the second big problem is he admits that he intended to shoot the guy. Now, he does say that he was acting in self-defense, but self-defense is an argument for a legal justification for an otherwise criminal act. To successfully make that justification, you have to admit that you intended to shoot. We'll get more detail about self-defense in—
So why did she say that was bad 2 seconds ago? Did ChatGPT give you the wrong answer, you dummy?
Just a minute. But for now, just keep that bit in your mind for later. So now, looking at this whole statement, the only element that may not check off totally is premeditation. But don't worry, the way I see it, the prosecution has plenty of evidence to draw on for that one too. First, like I said earlier, according to the arrest warrant—
premeditation is not on the table here. If you intentionally shoot someone, you premeditated it.
Yes.
She already said premeditation.
I covered this earlier, Bronco. You don't have to talk about it again.
You take a gun, you intentionally shoot someone, that's a premeditated
Why
act.
are you doing this?
Stop! I guarantee you,
I already
Dalton's
covered
defense
this.
attorney, Jacob Fendley, is not going to be arguing, yeah, we concede my client intentionally shot Joshua Fox, but it wasn't premeditated. I'm not sure Legal Bites has ever done criminal defense work. It doesn't sound like it.
Even before the altercation got physical, Chud drew his gun out on the other guy. And now I would actually...
That's not an evidence.
She looks like a puppet. Just an update, I think, that's happened since this. Chud the Builder's public defender, he came out with this statement. Maybe we'll have to look it up when this segment's wrapping up, but he came out with a statement about like racism and stuff like that I found highly offensive as far as attorney ethics go, and the best interest of his client. I thought that his statement was crazy town. And I even had a mild disagreement with Runkle of the Bailey on Twitter about it, because I said this is an immediate bar complaint in my opinion, and Runkle said no, he shouldn't do a bar complaint now. He can wait and do it later. You don't want a bar complaint on there if you're having to hire new counsel. And it's like, I don't know, because new counsel, is it going to go out and make a statement like, my client's super racist? Like, he might have murdered some, like, fucking insane. So, and that's no shade on Runkle. Just a little bit of a different perspective on the way things are, on the way I think things should be handled in the world of social media. I think it's changing the entire calculus on both civil and criminal legal issues, because you now have, we've seen it directly in multiple cases, the leveraging of the public in your defense, even though they're not in the courtroom. But the leveraging of the public in a proper manner in your legal defense is critical in some cases to the survival of your client. You tell me Karen Reed lives without the massive social media wave, without the Turtle Boy rallying, without the people standing outside the courthouse in Canton. You let that corruption sleep in the dark, and you see if Karen Reed comes out of that trial not guilty. It is going to be and same thing with Johnny Depp, Kyle Rittenhouse. The other thing, utilizing the publicity when it's there. Not every case needs to be blasted on social media. That's not the right strategy. When it's there, when there's a principle that you can hammer on, like free speech, for example, like the idea that, as Bronca said, I can go up to someone and say, hey, what's up? How's it going? What's the weather like? I can do that. And that's not a provocation. It's not a violent act. Even if people don't like it, you may not get the best mileage out of it, but in theory, you can walk up and say, even derogatory or offensive comments. You can be a provocateur. You can do that and not be engaged in the idea of provoking violence, because if I go up to someone and I say, you're a fag, and they hit me like, no, I'm not, like they do that, that is an irrational response to a word, period. I don't care how offensive the word is. Now, you may think that irrational response is justified and good and awesome or whatever, like, and the person deserves it. That's fine. Legally speaking, to react to a word with violence is irrational. I know there's a concept called fighting words. It's just because fighting words exists as a carve out from like one case where they really wanted to get a guy who insulted a cop. Just because fighting words exist somewhere doesn't mean that that they're actually like a part of the legal structure of whatever state you're in. And they're certainly not an actual justification for violence. Fighting words as a concept just means that the words aren't necessarily First Amendment protected. So it doesn't justify the fight. It justifies the government issuing a citation perhaps, for provoking or inciting a fight through your words. So like, this isn't, it's not the same thing. People kind of get that confused. They're like, well, fighting words. You can't run up and say, Nick, like, no, you can't just hit someone because they say a racial slur. As you can't punch a Nazi. Low Watermark says, lol, this is like the old days. Bronca, I love Bronca and Nick telling us about it. More collabs, Nick and Bronca. Yeah, we do need to do a live show with Bronca again sometime soon. GLP says Bob Alessi is an exception. He's an AM 100 partner. Bob Alessi is a fantastic lawyer and deserves all of the respect and all of the respectful heterosexual handjobs from men that he can get, and women. Mental Statty 876 has become a member on YouTube. Thank you so much. The Bronca Show says, I love Runkle, but he's a Canadian lawyer. It's not the same. And it's just, again, it's a different perspective on how things should be done. And Bronca's answer is very much in line with kind of the traditional thinking about how you conduct these cases. I don't think Chud's a traditional defendant, to be honest. John Jelaine says, sticks and stones may break your bones, but your words will never break me. Sounds good. Michael W. says, when does speech cross the line to provocation, though? When you say, go ahead, take your swing. That's when. When you invite the violence and then they respond with violence, you've provoked it. When you issue an insult or say something controversial or shocking, that is not an invitation to be hit. You say, swing at me and I'll kill you. That's a provocation, maybe. You say, you're a fairy. That is not an invitation to violence. People who walk up and say these things are not expecting. I mean, they may be prepared to be hit, but they're not expecting to be hit because violence is an irrational response to words. The Jim Tyrant says, rather be wrong and learn than right and lied to. There you go. Jack says, is there evidence that Chud knew Josh by name previously or vice versa? Because wouldn't that mean Josh was premeditating this confrontation? Could be. I'm not aware of any. Like, I'm not saying that there's not. I'm literally just have no idea. I'm saying literally a lot. But I have no idea if that's true. But there could be evidence of that. And yes, that could show that Josh was premeditating the conflict. What if Josh's internet history is just Chud builder videos, right? What if there's a chat room saying, I'm going to see if that fucking Chud guy shows up. Like, that guy needs to be put in his place, etc. There's all sorts of things that could show that he had a penchant for aggression. By the way, if you have a penchant for aggression, I need you to aggressively slap that like button as we're going here, guys. Don't just wait till the end. Spank that bad boy right now.
Nowhere has anybody claimed that before the fight became physical, Dalton drew his gun on the other guy. The most we have is the affidavit of complaint says that he reached for his gun. It doesn't say he drew it. Legal bites. If you can't keep the facts straight, how would you possibly do competent legal analysis?
Fully expect the prosecution evidence to draw as premeditation. But don't worry, the way I see it, the prosecution has plenty of evidence to draw on for that one too. First, like I said earlier, according to the arrest warrant, even before the altercation got physical, Chud drew his gun out on the other guy. And now
that is not premeditation to pull the trigger. Also, drawing it out on the guy, is that what happened? She said he reached for the gun. Now he's drawn it out on the guy. I don't know. Having video of this, allegedly, this thing was streamed, right? Like, but I don't think the stream has been released. But allegedly, there's video of it. That'll be exceedingly helpful. But just because he draws doesn't mean he has the intention to fire. Some people draw for the purpose of warning the other person, like a state, like don't come at, like, I don't want to shoot you. I don't want to do this. You don't need violence here.
Where does it say that in the little insert she has here?
Now, I would actually fully expect prosecutors to use that moment as Chud drew his gun out earlier, according to the arrest warrant. Even
what's this say here? The shooting occurred 1:15 outside the courthouse. According to the warrant, Etherly and another man, Joshua Fox, had a verbal confrontation. Etherly turned his body in a bladed stance and reached for a firearm. That's all it says.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It doesn't say he presented that firearm. Is this just a, I mean, I'm not sure whether to be critical of her intellect.
Yes.
Or what's the alternative?
Bronco, I want you to be critical of her intellect all the time. It's so funny.
Is the alternative that she's lying? I don't want to suggest that.
No, I think she literally just doesn't understand.
Lying about
Stop saying literally.
Case in which a man could go to prison for 60 years. But on the other hand, we can read these words, right? The words say, reached for a firearm. She characterizes that as
before the altercation. We have evidence to draw on for that one too. First, like I said earlier, according to the arrest warrant, even before the altercation got physical, Chud drew his gun out on the other guy. And now I would actually fully expect prosecutors to use that moment as the latest moment at which Chud formed
that moment that never happened?
The decision to shoot. Remember when I said that we would come back to that civil case hearing that he had walked out of right before this incident?
Yeah, I remember.
So let's do that right now. No one I've seen seems to be talking about this, but do you know what that hearing was actually for? This wasn't just some routine status hearing. First of all, the case for that hearing was where he was being
a routine status hearing. It's a debt collection action. This is not this is not like a homicide trial.
Sued for unpaid debt. And in that hearing specifically, he had just had default judgment entered against him. So let me explain that really quick so everyone can understand the significance of that. If you get sued and you get served a complaint for that lawsuit, you have a certain amount of time to show up in court and respond. If you don't, you can lose that entire lawsuit by default. That means the judge essentially says, plaintiff, you win on all of your claims.
What the fuck do we care about this? Why do we care about a debt lawsuit and a default judgment? This is irrelevant to the murder trial, I think, unless that's a really cruel pause face on her. Oh, that's the most unfortunate it could possibly be. Oh my God, look at the heroic chin on that guy. I even feel bad about this. He's going to teach you how to bench press right now. Let's go. Oh, that's so rude. I didn't mean to do that. I'm mean, but I'm not that mean.
Because the defendant simply is a no-show. Go forth and collect on your judgment. And in most, if not all states, default is a two-step process. First, plaintiff requests an entry of default. That's where they essentially put all the dates of the filings in front of the judge and say, this defendant knows about this lawsuit and isn't showing up. So the judge says, yep, defendant is in trouble here. Default. Then later, plaintiff can also move for a default judgment. And this is when the judge finalizes it saying, yep, plaintiff officially wins. Now, in between those...
Oh my God, I need coffee. Can someone bring me a cup of coffee?
I was trying to get Dr. Pepper.
We're dealing with an attempted homicide, attempted murder, and self-defense case, and we're learning all about default judgments in debt collection cases.
Two steps, a defense. Later, plaintiff can also move for a default judgment. And this is when the judge finalizes it saying, yep, plaintiff officially wins. Now, in between those two steps, a defendant can come in and beg the judge for mercy and ask them to set aside the default. In order to do that, they have to fully promise to fully participate and beg and grovel and talk about how much of an idiot they were for not participating.
Why are we
talk
talking
about some
about
sort of
this?
justification.
I'm begging. I'm groveling. Please, legal bites. Get to a point that's relevant to this shooting case.
Thank you.
Or otherwise some kind of an excuse for why they haven't participated so far.
I'm glad Bronca said that because she wasn't hearing me talk, but
it doesn't always work, and you are almost guaranteed a verbal lashing from the bench, but it is possible. But otherwise, once default judgment is entered, that second step, you are cooked. It's over. And so looking back at Chud the Builder's case here on May 13th.
Wait, remember, she's going to tie in
like a dude.
The relevance of this debt collection action, default judgment entered. This is somehow going to be relevant to the criminal charges or the legal defenses raised in the shooting of Joshua Fox. Let's see her tie it all together.
Chud was at this hearing not for step 1, but for step 2. And according to the docket, default judgment was actually entered against him and the case was closed out. So he walked out of that hearing officially owing the plaintiff $3,466.63. And here's a little fun fact for you. The judge that later got assigned to Chud's attempted murder case is the same judge that just entered default against him. Funny little world, isn't it? Anyway.
No, that's not a funny little world. That's not even that weird. And it doesn't matter. Is she going to be... Did she think that the judge in that case is going to be like, you know what? I just entered this guy $3,000. So? Who fucking cares? What does that have to do with anything?
So now think about all of this in context. He walks out of that hearing, his ass handed to him by the judge. He's already a guy with a long documented history.
He lost a $3,000 judgment. Like, no one wants to do that. But so what? He's had his ass handed to him by the judge. Okay. He actually didn't. He handed himself his own ass by defaulting. What is she talking about? It's not like the judge came down, kicked Chud's fucking teeth in, like, yeah, let me legally just wreck you, you little piece of shit. The judge is like, no, sorry, you didn't respond. You're defaulted. You make a motion to reconsider the default judgment or whatever to cure it. And the judge says, no, under the rule, you've given us no reason under the rule why that would justify vacating the default and allowing the matter to continue. So game over. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff. That's it. By the way, tons of credit actions go this way. Because if you've got creditors, it might be hard to pay your attorneys and stuff like that. So like tons of credit actions happen exactly like this. This is not the judge kicking his ass or anything like that. This is just really stupid legal analysis. Aussie says, elite here, applying the same logic to legal analysis some women use to avoid saying sorry, going on every tangent along the way before getting it wrong anyway. Nailed it. Fucking beautiful. What's up, Aussie? How you doing, brother?
A vile antagonism towards Black people and even making threats to...
Does he have a long history of violent antagonism towards Black people? I don't think I've seen that. I mean, you can say he's certainly provocative, racially firebrand, uses the N-word to the face of Black people. Violence? What's the reputation for violence here?
Shoot them. And now text. He walks out of that hearing, his ass handed to him by the judge. He's already a guy with a long documented history of violence.
And just to be clear, a reputation for violence doesn't nullify his self-defense claim. It's like, oh, this guy's known to be violent. Was he, just because someone's known to be violent doesn't justify violence against them. If you have a claim of perfect self-defense, it is irrelevant if at other times you have been violent. Just because you've been violent in the past does not condemn you to a death sentence in an altercation in the present. Again, just nothing but stupidity here.
Antagonism towards Black people and even making threats to shoot them. And now he's having a particularly bad day on top of that. Prosecutors can totally use this to argue that the premeditation formed the moment that he walked up to those men who were pointing and laughing at him. And so that's already pretty bad, right?
The premeditation for what? For shooting? Wait, he premeditated the shooting when he walked up to them, but then he walked away from them and Joshua Fox had to chase him down, strike him, put him in a headlock. This was all premeditated.
So this is of course wild, because even if you can take the dummy take of he's premeditating shooting someone because he walked up to them, which is, I don't know if you guys know this, But one of the big advantages of a firearm or a gun, as they're called in some places, one of the huge advantages of those things is that the bullet goes away from you. So if you're premeditating shooting someone, walking up close is a really terrible idea. You don't need to do, I mean, you might need to get close enough to get an accurate shot or something like that, depending on your level of ability, your calmness, all those things. Sure. But you don't need to get that close. You don't need to put yourself in danger for it. You just get close enough to fire off the shot. And so like that's what makes guns such an effective force equalizer, is the small person wielding the gun doesn't have to subject themselves to the physically menacing presence and the physical domination of a larger person. They don't have to worry about that because they have the firearm that takes care of that. And distance is your friend as long as the distance is short enough that you can, fire and achieve your purposes. Walking up to someone is not premeditation to shoot them. But even if it were, he walks away, which nullifies the premeditation. And just as a side note, I don't know if Bronca gets into this. I'm sure he would if he was really on the ball, but he might have been like, I'm just kidding. I don't know if Bronca gets into this, but in most states, even if you are provoking violence, like you're about to be the provocateur, even if you provoke an altercation that results in violence, when you retreat and indicate to the person that you want the violence to end, the violence ends, and your provocation in many states by statute is reset in that moment. It says, that you can re-achieve your non-aggressive standard if you communicate the desire to end the violence and you make that retreat. Now, there's a whole bunch of factual questions about did you go far enough away? Did you take a sufficient amount of time? Were you able to communicate that effectively, etc.? Those are all different things. I'm just saying, once you say that, he premeditated shooting him because he walked up to him, I'm stupid. You can go ahead and say that, but walking away nullifies that premeditation, nullifies the provocation that the walking up might have caused. But even though it didn't, it would nullify it in that moment. Unless he was walking back saying, I'm still going to fight you or something. Like, you'd have to have some circumstance to justify this. And now he probably doesn't even need to announce that he wants the violence to end or desires the confrontation to end, because there isn't a confrontation. The guy says, walk away from me. He's like, all right. And he walks away, according to the report. If that's the case, any supposed provocation is reset in this scenario. And this is just stupid legal analysis that is incomplete, ineffective, and ill-advised. Also, again, this camera angle, that hairstyle, the work shirt that looks like she's about to go mop a Walmart. I don't know what is happening in that whole thing. Like, I don't know what that is, but I don't like a single thing about it. The completely flat skin tone on the face, like nothing. She should get a red shiny nose like I have. What do we got here? Digger says, cheers, Nick. Thanks for the intro to my man, Johnny Crutches. You've changed my life. Wait, did I introduce you to Johnny Crutches? That can't be real. Did I? How did I do that? What's up, Digger? By the way, how you doing? The Bronca Show says, Nick is nailing it, but I really have to go to bed. Everyone else stay. Enjoy the show. That's okay, Bronca. Next time I'll be nailing you. Have a good night, brother. I'll talk to you soon. There is no way I introduced you to Johnny Crutches, Digger. Like, how did I do that? You got to tell me that story. I don't know anything about it.
That Joshua Fox was going to chase him down, punch him, and put him in a headlock? And continuously beat him even after he was shot? That's premeditated?
We can actually add another layer that makes this even worse for him, because apparently about a week before the shooting, he posted this on X. Apparently it was in response to someone giving him crap for the restaurant arrest. Just so you can fully understand it, both of the censored words.
Yeah, it actually was in response to someone threatening to kill him. Kill him. So all he's saying here is, if you try to kill me, the season finale is you dead on the pavement. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I think it's imprudent. I don't think it's worth saying these words to someone who threatens you. But there's nothing wrong or unlawful about saying, hey, if you try to kill me, I'm going to defend myself. You could end up dead.
Especially, as we saw with the dumpster defender case, depending on the way you say it and the circumstances around that expression, it could be as it was with the father. When he said, take your swing, come at me, I'll kill you. All those things, that amounted to provocation. That's in the moment, at present, asking for and inviting the violence. Like, that's a different thing than saying on Twitter, hey, like, you come up to me, like, I'm going to defend myself. Bronca, of course, is absolutely right here.
In this post are racial slurs aimed at Black people. And this is clearly a threat of violence against them as a group. Now, I do want to note that I could only find screenshots.
That's not a threat of violence against him as a group. What are you talking about? She's like, this is clearly a threat. What? Series finale is dead N-words on the pavement and you N-words rioting when I walk free. Stay tuned. That's not a threat of violence.
Of this post. But according to Grok, this is something that Chud likely posted in early or mid-May and then later deleted. And now he may have.
Oh, wait a minute. So okay.
In fact, deleted it. But
Katie K says, not all of us are as stunning as Lady Rackets. Well, so I agree with you. Or was that about legal bites?
Make no mistake, prosecutors can subpoena X to get that post back and introduce it as evidence of his mental state going in, specifically that premeditation. And from there, it actually continues to get worse for Chud. You see, reports are also quoting a separate post from May 7th where Chud allegedly wrote, I will defend my life with lethal force. Do not.
What's the problem with that post? Every American has the legal privilege to defend their life with lethal force.
Approach me within Mace. It actually continues to get worse for Chud. You see, reports are also quoting a separate post from May 7th where Chud allegedly wrote, I will defend my life with lethal force. Yes. Do not approach me with intent to threaten bodily harm.
Correct.
So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, but what about his self-defense argument? Surely he has.
Oh, are we going to get to that self-defense argument now? That's really nice. But again, just a quick review of what she just did. She's like, he has this post saying, if you come up to me, I'm going to defend myself if you intend to cause bodily harm to me. Yes. Yeah, that's how self-defense works. And you can talk about it. It's not like a secret.
Something there, right?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what we have about the self-defense.
After all, he said the other guy was wailing on him even after Chud shot him. But the thing is, it's very important to understand that self-defense is an affirmative defense. That means that the burden to prove it shifts from the prosecution to the defense. And to
nope. No. The burden on self-defense in Tennessee, the legal defense of self-defense.
Let me try. The burden is on the prosecution to overcome the legal defense of self-defense beyond any reasonable doubt. There isn't a burden shift that goes, well, we've proved our murder. Now you prove your self-defense. Nope. The burden is upon the state to overcome the legal defense of a justified use of deadly force. Let's see how I did. I hope I've been taking my Bronca classes very well.
Is on the state. And that's not a weird Tennessee thing. That's true of every state in the country. Every state in the country. You raise the legal defense of self-defense. The burden of persuasion, the burden of proof is on the state to disprove self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. Should I?
I think I did okay. I think I passed the fucking exam. Yeah. Go me. I give myself an A.
Should I pull up the Tennessee jury instruction? Look at this. Look at this. What does the Tennessee jury instruction tell the jury? Once a claim of self-defense has been raised, to convict the defendant, the burden is on the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did not act in self-defense. The burden is on the state to prove that the defendant did not act in self-defense. Legal bites. Legal bites. What in the world were you thinking, young lady? What in the world were you thinking? I don't know if that referral to your law practice is going to look so good right now, ma'am. There appears to be a certain lack of competence in this area of the law. Presumably that wouldn't be true of other areas of the law. I wouldn't know. I just know you're dead wrong here.
To meet that burden, the defendant has to. It's important to understand that self-defense is an affirmative defense. That means that the burden to prove it shifts from the prosecution to the defense. And to meet that burden, the defendant has to prove every single element of the defense. Now, under Tennessee's self-defense law, you generally have to show 3 things for this.
Oh my God. The defendant literally has to prove nothing. Nothing. There is no burden on the defendant on self-defense.
First, he has to show that he had a reasonable belief that there was an imminent danger of death or serious bodily injury. Second,
no.
Branca always loses his mind. Always. When they do this burden shifting argument and all this stuff, she's sitting here saying like all these things that they have to prove. Branca's like, nope, the state has to overcome it. The state has to overcome it. The state, that's jury instruction. That's how self-defense works. Basically everywhere. The state has to overcome it. And you read the jury instruction. Once it's been raised, that self-defense, anybody can raise the self-defense argument. It may be bad. It may be really easy for the state to overcome the self-defense claim. That happens with frequency. The majority of self-defense claims are overcome by the state beyond a reasonable doubt without any trouble at all. I self-defense that motherfucker. Like, it happens all the time.
Oh, the state has to prove that he did not have a reasonable belief that he was in imminent death or serious bodily injury. And they have to prove that beyond any reasonable doubt.
And he has to prove that the danger was real or that he honestly believed that it was real at the time. And
no, he doesn't. The defendant doesn't have to prove that. The state has to disprove that the defendant had a real or honestly believed fear that the danger was creating death or serious bodily injury.
Third, he has
let's see. Oops, I forgot to finish typing this. This idea that defendants have to prove something. Defendants don't have to prove anything. Excuse me. Defendants have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and to not issue any statements that would potentially implicate them criminally. And that silence and the refusal to answer and the use of the invocation of the Fifth Amendment cannot be used against them because a defendant is never required to prove anything. It may help the defendant in some cases to prove or to offer evidence in support of their self-defense claim, to assist the finder of fact in setting out the factual scenario that will allow a proper analysis of what happened for the application of the law. It may behoove the defendant to do so. They are not required to do so. If the state cannot overcome the self-defense being raised, even if the defendant and his entire legal team says not a word during the trial, if the state cannot overcome self-defense. Maybe it's apparent on its face. Maybe someone just pulls out a gun and is shooting at the defendant, and the defendant pulls his gun and shoots back and kills them. That guy, and it's on video with audio, and the guy's pre-recorded saying, "I'm going to try and murder this other guy," and the other guy's got a pre-recording, and that his response to it on Twitter or something was like, "Well, I really hope that guy doesn't kill me. I don't want to do any, I don't want to have to defend myself, but I will, whatever. But I'm not a murderer, all that, whatever it is." And they don't have to introduce anything to make that case. It is theoretically feasible to have an on its face self-defense claim, right? They don't have to say a fucking word in court. Not one. They can allow the state to say whatever they want and run through the whole thing. Once they've raised self-defense, if it's apparent from the state's evidence that it was self-defense and the state can't overcome the burden, done. Period. Nothing. No world are you required to do anything.
To show that his belief was founded on reasonable grounds.
He does not have to show anything. Nothing. The state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that his belief of danger was not reasonable.
And now, when we're talking about self-defense using lethal force, we are looking for some kind of a factor that elevated this risk to the defendant. We're talking about a gun, a knife, a steel pipe, a revving car with the defendant standing right in front of the front bumper. Otherwise, a simple...
This is idiotic. She's suggesting that if she were being strangled to death by someone's bare hands, that she would have no privilege to use deadly force to save her life, because they're not using a gun or a knife or a lead pipe or a car bumper. This is stupid. There's nothing in Tennessee self-defense law or any
state. I was about to say that. Damn it, Bronca. No, there's, of course. Deadly force is just deadly force. There's no prerequisite. There's no requirement. There's nothing. You can pick up a dictionary and have deadly force occur really quickly afterwards. You start hitting someone in the face with that dictionary. This concept that people have, well, there's no weapons or there's this or that. There are some things that make the deadly force more readily presumable. The presence of a gun or a knife that is being utilized against someone, those things make the presumption that deadly force exists more readily apparent for the fact finder and then the application of law. They're not necessary for it, though. If you have deadly force, it just means that the person's life is in danger by what's going on. That's it. Or it's not always deadly force. It's deadly force or serious bodily injury. Serious bodily injury is often described as permanent scarring, a risk of a traumatic brain or trauma, or something like a broken bone. So even though the injuries may be internal, a broken bone is serious bodily harm. So even if it's a wrist or fingers, those things are serious bodily harm. You don't have to sit there and endure having your fingers broken if you can defend yourself with a firearm. You don't have to do that. If someone's sitting there doing let me tell you about Jason Voorhees, he's snapping your fingers and you've got a gun, you can just blast that guy because that's serious bodily harm. You can't do that. If someone starts beating on your head or slamming your head into the ground or a wall or a countertop or a table, they start hitting you with a heavy object, even if it's not sharp or, like a weapon. It's just a big thing. Like I said, like a phone book or a dictionary. You hit someone with a phone book or a dictionary in the head and cause that brain to rattle around inside and concuss them. That's a traumatic brain injury. That's serious bodily harm. You may not see any blood. You may not see any bruising. You may not see anything. And that doesn't have to occur. It just has to be reasonable for someone to anticipate that it might be occurring to them at that time.
states self-defense law that says you can only use deadly defensive force if the person trying to kill you is using a weapon. I mean, is she not familiar with the trial of George Zimmerman? George Zimmerman being beaten to death by the fists of Trayvon Martin, defended himself with a gun, acquitted of...
To be fair, Trayvon Martin wielded the entire earth and smashed George Zimmerman's head against it.
All charges by a jury consisting mostly of women and minorities. By the way, grape counts as a deadly force attack against which you would be...
This is my first real criticism of the Bronco video. I know what he's doing. I know it's for the algorithm. I hate the usage of grape in place of rape. We're here for some good old-fashioned rape. We don't need these stupid fruits running around. No, I don't like the substitution of words. And again, I know why people do it. It's probably the smarter move. I just don't like it. So I will criticize him for that. He gets one demerit.
Privileged to use deadly defensive force. You'd think a woman would be aware of this dynamic. If a man is forcibly graping you, that's a deadly force attack.
Is he making her into jelly? What's he doing? What is that? What's a graping? Is that where you put them on a vine and like wait for them to grow? Like, what are you doing? Bronca, come on.
And you can shoot him dead. Guess what? He's not using a weapon. Unless you count that as a weapon.
Battery without anything else on top of it isn't going to cut it. It probably would for self-defense in an assault case, but not a case involving lethal force. And so one of the problems for Chud is all he says
what the fuck
is the
did
guy.
She just say? That sounded stupid, so I gotta listen to it again.
It probably would for self-defense in an else on.
Unless you count that as a weapon.
Battery without anything else on top of it isn't going to cut it. It probably would for self-defense in an assault case, but...
Okay, so she's now... This is when you can tell people like aren't defense attorneys, don't know what they're talking about, etc. on stuff like this. If he is committing a battery, then it's probably justification for self-defense in an assault case. No, it's justification for self-defense in a battery case, dummy. Not an assault case. If you're being battered, you're not being assaulted. Assaulted involves no touch. Battery involves touch. So, no. But again, what matters in self-defense cases is the requisite level of force being appropriately applied in defense. If you are defending not the actual thing, but the reasonable fear of a minor injury, and you can't use deadly force. But great bodily harm or death, you can. That's about it, though. There really isn't much distinction beyond that. It doesn't take a lot to get to great bodily injury. It really doesn't. The situations you can maybe imagine are like, I don't know, someone's got like a physical incapacity or something, and like their strikes against you just can't do the damage. And like that's apparent on its face. Or, you know, someone bumps you with a shopping cart or something. You can't turn around and be like, blam! Unless they bump you hard enough to cause great bodily harm. But you know what I mean? But it's really, that barrier is, again, permanent scarring, broken bones, traumatic head injury. And you don't have to have these things happen. Just a reasonable fear that they will.
Not a case involving lethal force. And so one of the problems for Chud is all he says is the guy was beating him or wailing on me, as he put it. And the thing is, he was filmed and photographed immediately after the shooting. Looking at his face, it doesn't look like he was just pummeled to the point that he thought he was close to dying. Now,
how much injury are you required to suffer before you can defend yourself?
The answer is zero.
Zero. None. You're not required to suffer so much as a scratch before you can defend yourself. I'm so good at this. And if a guy has you in a headlock, a guy who's told you he's crazy, he has PTSD,
Hey!
You walked away from him and he chased you down to attack you.
I said the PTSD thing earlier too. We're like twins.
And he's beating you, continues to beat you.
By the way, I joke about this, but you know, like I knew a lot of these concepts before, but being friends with Branka over the years, it should be no mystery as to why my analysis is going to closely mirror his. He and I have had our agreements in the past, of which on all of them, I've been the most correct person ever. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to say it. But it doesn't matter, because an opinion about an outcome is different than just the learning the steps of the analysis and the application of self-defense law. And I learned so much of it from Branka himself. Just being his friend, watching his videos, hanging out with him, watching, the trials and stuff with him. Like, this stuff gets drilled into you. Usually you have to pay for that. But no, he's an excellent teacher. He's an excellent source on this material. But yeah, he and I are going to say very similar things because he's learned a lot, just from me.
Well, you're in the defenseless, highly vulnerable position of being in a headlock. How much injury are you going to show before you can defend yourself? Do you have to let yourself be beaten? Sometimes you just have to take a beating, as Rittenhouse was told. Then, after you've been sufficiently beaten, you can defend yourself.
Yes.
You have to wait to see how long the beating will be sustained before you know whether or not
the beatings will
yourself.
Continue until morale improves.
He could have major bruising on his body below the neck, and there would be medical reports about the extent of his injuries. But if those reports actually show minimal damage, that is more evidence to doubt first that he even had an actual belief that his life was in danger. So you put all of that on top of everything that we've already...
His life does not need to be in danger. That's not what's required. You're privileged to use deadly force in self-defense if you're facing a deadly force threat, which means a threat readily capable of causing death or serious bodily injury. You don't have to wait to suffer the serious bodily injury. If someone has their arm, an aggressor, self-described as crazy, angry at you, chases you down, attacks you, wraps their arm around your neck, is that now a position they have you in where they can readily cause you death or serious bodily injury? Yes, obviously. I don't think Legal Bites is going to volunteer to have an angry black man wrap an arm around her neck, is she?
Whoa. Why is it a black guy? Hammerhead1 says, if you're going to watch the Branka Legal Bites Chud video, you may want to watch 30-minute version one. He edited it nicely. Yeah, that's the one we're watching right now. Sorry, that was over on Locals. And I didn't see it earlier, but we got it now. The
threshold is not just death. You don't have to fear being killed. You have to fear being killed or suffer serious bodily injury.
Talked about here, and that self-defense argument starts looking really weak. So now, without going into detail about the penalties for these charges, let me just tell you, if convicted on all counts, he is looking at decades in prison. And Judge Poland, that's the judge who's overseeing his new criminal case, already explained the sentencing exposure at the arraignment. From what he said, attempted criminal homicide alone carries a 15 to 60 year range, plus a mandatory 6-year firearm enhancement at 100% service. So the way I see it, what we're looking at here is a guy whose own live stream statement to the police basically locks in most of the major elements of attempted murder. And then
Yes, of course, because it has to. It has to. Again, self-defense as a legal defense is a defense of confession and avoidance. You don't get to say, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't shoot the guy, but I did it in self-defense. You have to concede to the underlying conduct. It has to be an intentional use of force you're claiming was necessary to stop an imminent threat. You have to concede the major elements of the criminal charge, or you don't have a claim of self-defense. How could a lawyer not know this?
And in my opinion, his own social media history essentially hands the prosecution premeditation argument on a silver platter. And on top of that,
no one's denying premeditation. Chud pulled a gun and shot this guy on purpose. It's obviously premeditated. That doesn't make it a crime if it was lawful self-defense.
His self-defense theory has a number of major flaws that I don't think he's going to be able to overcome. And so, in my opinion at least, he is screwed here.
See, as you can see,
what is it? That's
the more you around.
That's the dumbest fucking analysis ever. Well, he's got this legal defense and self-defense, but he's already admitted to the crime. What are you talking? He's screwed. What are you talking about? What the fuck? Like, that's...
The more you're going to find out.
But those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you think he has a real shot at self-defense here? Or do you think his own live stream and his own other prior social media content bits essentially convict him? And do you think the prosecution...
His prior social media content bits, by definition, cannot convict him. Unless there's a social media statement saying, I'm going to go up and provoke this guy and kill him. Or maybe a black guy and kill him. Maybe then, maybe. But just because he says, yeah, if you come up to me, I'm going to I will use deadly force to defend myself. If you're going to come at me with deadly force, I will do that. That is not in any way. That is not in any way somehow problematic for the application of a proper self-defense. The only question is, did he provoke the encounter sufficiently to overcome his self-defense claim? Was his perception of the imminent bodily harm or death unreasonable? Was the force excessive and beyond what was necessary to stop the threat? If someone is choking you, I don't know if you know this, but the logical outcome of choking someone is death. It is. I tell you what, if you keep choking someone, they will die. It's not even a question. They will. Unless you are not able to apply the choke. You don't have to wait for that to happen. But just to point out, that is deadly force. Period. It's not even questionable, because the logical, natural consequence of a chokehold is death unless the choker releases the choke-e. If we just let it happen, gonna be so good. You know, it's so good. Let it happen. You're gonna die. Satisfies the element at this point. She is fucking dumb.
Actually should be allowed to bring in all of that prior.
I guess she's soliciting comments now, right? That's what she's doing. She wants interaction in the chat.
Content in his prior X posts and all that to prove premeditation. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this, or at least found it.
The idea that you're going to prove premeditation from a past social media interaction is wild. It is wild. Unless it speaks directly to the incident, imminently before it's going to happen.
Interesting or informative. And if you did, I would love it if you would hit the like button. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm gods. And if you need...
Well, I enjoyed part of it. I enjoyed
There is no God but Jehovah, and he is Lord, you heathen bitch!
The dog in the background. I did find it informative, Legal Bites. I found it informative about your unbelievable degree of ignorance on self-defense law. That was very informative. I'm not sure that's what you intended.
Help with a real legal issue in your life, contact us at the Bites Law Group, linked at the description below. Now,
go ahead, give them a call.
Make a big difference in these cases is whether or not your case is in the hands.
Wait a minute, what was that? Someone said, what about kinky choking? Is it going to kill someone? Yeah. Unless they let you go. Unless they let you go, right? Which kinky choking tends to involve, the application of pressure to a certain point that both people have hopefully discussed and agreed to leading up to that encounter, or have established like an understanding. And then the release of said pressure at that point, that way that person is engaged in a trusted exercise, knowing what's about to happen, and then they're not in fear. But let's just take a quick moment about that. All right. Kinky choking, for example. Kinky choking eliminates the subjective fear element of illegal self-defense. You have to have an objective fear. So that's a reasonable person standard. Is it reasonable to be afraid of imminent death or serious bodily injury in this moment? That's your first issue. You can have that with kinky choking. Like, it is reasonable to fear that choke objectively can kill you, because it can. Now, if they let go, obviously it won't, but the choke can. However, in that moment, you've discussed probably, or you've offered up the trust in that person. You're probably not subjectively afraid that you're going to die from the kinky choke, right? Unless that person has some other thing that causes you to become afraid in those moments. For example, engaging in BDSM play like that with a highly intoxicated person or a mentally unstable person. Maybe they hold on too long. Maybe you ask them to stop and they don't. Maybe they violate the safe word, whatever it is. Now, your subjective fear that was unreasonable because you had a trusting interaction with someone becomes reasonable. Well, it's objectively reasonable already. Sorry, your subjective fear manifests, I should say. It manifests when it didn't previously exist, because now the trust is broken. Now you are in danger. So you already have an objective satisfaction, because choking is objectively a deadly force threat. And someone not letting you go is a deadly force threat. The subjective part is the presence. All of this is covered by a standard self-defense analysis. So you can come up with these hypotheticals like a kinky choke or this or that. Just go through the analysis and apply the principles, and you'll actually get the same logical, legal answer. Do you have now a reasonable objective fear and your subjective fear? You have to have both in self-defense. You can't have a reasonable objective fear, like someone shooting at you, and be like, I wasn't afraid of that Mexican, blam, 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 I got my trusty sidearm. If you say you're not afraid, you did not engage in self-defense. You must be subjectively in fear for your life and safety. That was what happened to Michael Drejka. Michael Drejka is the guy who was yelling at a woman for parking in the handicap spot, and her boyfriend or husband or whatever ran up and tackled Michael Drejka to the ground. And then, that guy backed away. He took a step back from Drejka and turned his body away from him. And then Drejka shot him. It all happened very fast. Some people think that Michael Drejka maybe didn't perceive the step back in the way. Maybe he thought he was going to step back and kick him. The problem was, in his police interview, he said, I'm not afraid. I have my gun. Sorry, you're going to prison. That statement is dispositive of justifiable use of deadly force. You cannot engage in deadly force if you are not afraid. Now, I think he was probably talking like a tough guy. He's trying to be tactical around the cops because he was that kind of dude. But hey, that's what happened. And he went to prison. Gut 8 says, sorry if it's off topic, but have you seen the crazy Lego situation Ben Schneider has been exposing? Good reaction content for a lawyer. Nope, I know nothing about it, but I'll look into it because I know Lady Raggets loves Legos, so it'd be a good thing for me to talk to her about anyway. Just like to tell her a story,
of a good lawyer. And so many
and now she's going to pitch her law firm. She just misinformed. How many people watched this video so far? 23,448 people have been grotesquely misinformed on the law from this video. And now she's going to pitch her legal services. Listen, if you enjoyed the misinformation I just communicated to you on this case, maybe you'd like miscommunication on some other legal matters. Give us a call at bites.law.
So there we go. That is the Bronco Legal Bites Chud the Builder situation. That was really helpful for me. So thank you for being with me in that. I was not fully aware of the situation. That gave me a good rundown, even though the rundown was tainted by shitty advice. But it's fun to have something to, like, you know, be happy about and listen to along with the bad video. Oh, excuse me. I just noticed something. I'll show you guys real quick. You want to see the real tragedy? Right here. Bronca's video has 10K views, right? He said at the time of recording, Legal Bites' video had 23,000. I've got some bad news for you.
This rage-baiting racist.
You want to see something real fucking shameful? This is what I was talking about with YouTube. Look right above, right here, right above me. 86,000 views. 86,000 views of a fucking, just a complete incompetence. Complete incompetence. No excuse, no mitigation. Absolute incompetence. If she represented a client with what she said on the video, it would be malpractice. It has nothing to do with the quality of the information or the quality of the source. It has everything to do with those shitty infographics and things like that, and the presentation style. And that is the problem. That is the problem with law on YouTube. That production is worth more than decades and decades of expertise. Even though that production wasn't like great, it's not like it was blowing the doors off anything. It's just that alone right there makes the video 100,000 view video versus a 10,000 view video from someone who's giving much better information on the topic. It's fucking awful. Awful, awful, awful. And that's why, you know, that's why certain lawyers' content is, you know, does very well. And if you want to know how to do that, like, I don't ever want to tell people how to YouTube, which is why, like I said, I always try to remain a little bit independent. I obviously don't do those things. I don't. And so my videos don't really get distributed out like that. People who do them really well, Nate the Lawyer, for example. Legal Eagle, right? Like Legal Eagle's bullshit gets thrown out there like crazy sauce because of how the production is done. It checks the boxes of how the algorithm likes to present stuff. Also, really stupid people process information in certain ways consistently. And by process information, I mean like they consume it and they go, I like this. This was helpful. They don't have the ability. This is kind of rude to call people stupid on this, but they don't have the ability to discern the impropriety of the information, the insufficiency of it. But YouTube will promote it anyway. So, okay. At some point, I need to like buckle down and do that shit. Just so I could get some good information out there for people, because like that video was painfully fucking horrible. Painfully fucking horrible. Tiny Dottore says, it 100% is pop law, but Nick won't let us have legal eagle. I don't want you to suffer. Why would you want to suffer? What the hell? Okay. All right. Okay, next. So I was reading this article about Chaiya Rana. Chaiya Rana today. Let me see if I can find the same exact article. What was that? Was it New York Post, maybe? I'm kind of curious. Hold on. I'm just checking out these videos from, oh God. Toxic TikTok star caught trying to murder her ex for convenience. Lawyer explains. Oh, that's probably good. Let's see. Why DoorDash girl says social media is lying about her case. Lawyer explains. When TikTok prank videos get you felony charges. Lawyer explains. Why Blake Lively's settlement is actually a signal she failed. Lawyer explains. Oh my God.
This IRL streamer.
Why awful streamer's short prison term could be strategic punishment. Lawyer explains. Johnny Somali. These videos have, she is crushing it. Like, make no mistake. She is fucking crushing it on views on this absolute trash. Why the hilarious Cops vs. Afro-Man defamation lawsuit was always doomed to fail. I bet it's insightful. D. What says, hey, Nick, you got a goat trophy. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to sit around watching Legal Bites video. I just was curious. Chaiya Rana. Let's see. Was it? Woo. Whew. Okay, is this the one? No, that's May 1st. God damn it. Where's the news? Okay, here we go. Oh, you didn't. Did I spell it wrong? Wow. What the fuck? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm looking for the. Let's see. I'm going to look at my history. That's right. And hold on 1 second. Once I do this, a judge rips into JP-Morgan's sex slave from the Sun. Okay, this is it. This is it. Here's the article I was reading, and let me just send this so that I can. Now let me pull this up. Okay, here we go. Legal blow. When I see the words legal blow, I think of something way different. I don't know. Hold on. Let me, I'll enlarge this. Real Patriot Party says, Nick, what happened today? You look like you stole Shatner's hairpiece from TJ Hooker in the 90s. Not trying to defend, but it's just not right. I don't know. I just kind of like throw some water in my hair before the stream, mess it up, and what happens, happens. So that's how that goes. I don't know what you're seeing, you blind meanie. So here's legal blow. So this is the handsome boy who is being sex slave graped by oh, it was Chaiya Rana. I spelled his name wrong. That's why I couldn't find it. So this guy, fuck me. Okay. Yeah, long ago, my hair caught fire while filming a Pepsi commercial. So here we go. A judge has ruled that the man behind the bombshell JP-Morgan lawsuit accusing a female boss of treating him like a sex slave cannot remain anonymous in his filing. Now, I know that's not much of a headline. Or not much of an article, but the stuff in this article is actually pretty interesting and is a good update on where the case is and what's going on. So Chaiya Rana, 35, filed a lawsuit against high-ranking executive Lorna Hajdini, 37. Oh, he's going for older chicks? I don't know. In April, under the pseudonym John Doe, claiming she sexually assaulted, racially abused, and drugged him. God racially abused you, Chaiya. Okay, now this is the first important thing I want to point out. Do you guys remember the initial pictures of this chick? I think we got Instagrammed. Instagram angled on this. I think they sold her as like a skinny. I don't think she's as skinny as advertised. All right. And so people were like, oh, no way this little cutie is sex slaving this, the guy who looks like Legal Bites, but Indian. No one's doing that. That doesn't make any sense. I saw that. I saw it all over the place. Very many places were reporting the same thing. This guy looks like, what does he look like? He looks like Alita, Legal Bites. He looks like her, but as a man, sort of, and in India, which is terrible. But so they were posting these pictures of her that were just like clavicle up. And you're like, oh, okay, like, I get it. She looks, I'm just saying, I'm not even criticizing here. I'm not criticizing her. She's busy. She's busy making Jews money. That's JP-Morgan is Jew Persons Morgan. So she's making the Jews money. So she doesn't have time. She doesn't have time to be skinny or whatever. But yeah. So this does help us understand a little better, I think, the circumstances, because people were very confused. They're like, this chick's a baddie and that guy looks like a badminton racket. But yeah, I don't think she's, and again, I'm not, like, normally I would be mean, but this isn't her fault. Maybe she was sex slaving him, but this isn't her fault. I don't think. Rana will have to refile his lawsuit since he can no longer stay anonymous, which comes after both JP-Morgan and Hajdini. Why is her name Hajdini? I've got some ethnicity confusion. Is she married to an Indian guy? Because that would make sense too. Like that, she's Albanian. Okay. So, which comes after both JP-Morgan and Hajdini's legal teams challenged his attempt to mask his name. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, which I've watched Aladdin. That's a filthy lie. You absolutely can. 10,000 years, right? Like you can. New York Supreme Court Judge Dakota Ramser told the courtroom on Tuesday afternoon. So we've got this guy is toast. This guy is toast. He's got a female judge named Dakota Ramser. Hold on. Investigation required. Oh, let's get some images of Judge Dakota. Oh, he's in trouble. Okay. Not what I was expecting. To be clear, this is I guess Judge Dakota Ramser right here. So I do think though that he's got his work cut out for him. I don't know if he's going to win this one. Let's see. Is smash or pass? I'm sorry. She doesn't have a gap in her teeth. So I'm a pass on that one. That's not a criticism of her either. It's just, I've got a problem. We're not going to talk about it right now. Okay. So, her decision. Hey, what's up, Espresso D? How you doing, brother? Her decision came after she heard from all parties and then headed into chambers to discuss the issue with the attorneys. Rana's lawyer, Daniel Kaiser, was against the request, arguing that his client is a victim of sexual abuse and that he has never revealed his name. Just hours before the hearing, Kaiser filed to discharge himself. To discharge himself as Rana's attorney, stating in court documents that he was searching for new counsel to take on his case. Sunderwear says Nick's a chocolate lover. No. Wow, that sounded really defensive. No, I don't like them at all. No. No, I just, I'm only attracted to black women that look a very, very particular way. Very particular way. They have to be shaped like a white woman, right? Which, you know, I'm not into the stereotypical black features. Like, and again, this is stereotypical. I know this is hashtag not all black women. Trust me, I know. But like being overweight, for example, I'm not into that so much. Like, it's not my thing. And like over emphasis on an ass the size of South America. Not my thing. Other people can like it just fine. If I'm looking at a Nubian princess, she should be, you know, like tall and thin and again, white woman shapely. I like what I like. And she should have a gap in her teeth the size of Michael Strahan. You don't need to know why. You don't need to know why. And yes, I have met this woman before, and she was gorgeous and super sweet. Let's see. Just hours before the hearing, Kaiser filed to discharge himself as Rana's attorney, stating in court documents that he was searching for new counsel to take on his case. He then asked the judge in court for a 60-day pause for Rana to find a new lawyer, but his request was denied, and he was asked to proceed and appear on his behalf. Attorneys cannot always bow out. Attorneys cannot always bow out. Yeah, Bond era Halle Berry. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a good example. Rihanna, at certain times, I don't know if Rihanna always looks like this. The girl I met was named Chanel. she was very, very nice. She was very pretty. I met her at a hotel, or it was a resort, and she was on a girls' trip, which I think I learned. Like, I didn't learn this personally, but I'm pretty sure I learned that girls' trip just means like women go together to have sex with other people. I did not sleep with this woman, to be very clear. That is not what happened. I just met her and talked to her and learned about like what they were up to. They were a wild batch. It was crazy. The other ones were all large and not my, whatever. But no, like I said, she was just pretty and sweet. And so I remember her. So back to this, he is not getting a 60-day pause, and lawyers don't get to just quit in the middle of things. Lawyers, can quit when it won't severely prejudice the other parties, for example. But in this case, the judge is like, no, you can't actually quit this case. You need to represent this guy for this hearing. Now, if he gets new counsel or whatever, that's fine. But this lawyer can't just bow out of it. Judge Maddie says girl trip at Hito. I mean, yeah, that's what it was. So this group of very like excitable black women, all black, I think, are very excitable black women were there, and so I was just talking to him, and getting to know what was going on, as one does. On that trip, I met like I just went around meeting everybody all the time, so it's great. They invited me to leave the resort and go to this dance club. I think it was called like Jungle or something dance club. And I was like, I'm not leaving the resort at all. And they're like, why? And I'm like, y'all blend in. I don't. I'll die. I'll get stabbed. I have a wallet. You don't understand. We're in Jamaica. I'm not leaving this fucking property ever. So they went off to go get impaled at a dance club, and I was I just stayed, and like I didn't go, but they're really nice. So anyway, Hajdini's lawyers who appeared on her behalf argued she would be severely prejudiced if Rana was able to remain anonymous while her name is allowed to be dragged through the mud, which I think is a little dishonest because I don't think anybody thinks that this chick actually did this at this point. I don't think so. You're white. I know I'm white. That's what I mean. I would stand out in the club and I would probably get robbed. And I don't mean to be negative about it, but I trust 0% of Jamaica off like a resort property. Resort properties, they don't want white people to die, white Americans particularly, in resorts in Jamaica. They don't want to do that. They don't want to attract that kind of attention. You're generally okay on property. You don't want to leave. You don't want to leave. But if you're like black and you say, yeah, man, like you're good then, because you then you fit right in. So her team further argued that the identity of the plaintiff is already known, saying he included an excruciating amount of detail in his complaint, naming supervisors and immediate colleagues. Yeah, New York Post actually was, I believe, the publication that identified this guy right away. They did it very quickly. Sunderwear says you trust 0% of the 13%. No. That's way different. In Jamaica, it's like 90%. And I trust 0% of those. So they claimed any reporter could figure out who he was. Rana first sued Hajdini in April, accusing the high-ranking executive of abusing him while they worked together. He originally filed the lawsuit anonymously under the pseudonym John Doe to protect himself and his family, but was later identified by the New York Post. JP-Morgan's counsel said his name being made public led to several bombshell revelations as the press began investigating his background and time at the bank. They mentioned several news reports that alleged allegedly exposed times when Rana lied, included about his father's death. Attorneys claim Rana took paid days off to work in the months leading up to filing the lawsuit after telling boss his father died, but his father is still alive. His father, Chaiya Rana, is still alive per an interview he gave to the Post. So Elder Rana said he didn't know about the lawsuit and added that his son is a good guy. He is good. He's a good guy. He's okay. He's pretty good. JP-Morgan's lawyer said Rana's colleagues sent him flowers and they only learned the truth about his father after the report came out. Another claim mentioned in court cited details about why Rana begged to remain anonymous out of fear that his family would be harassed. Court documents reviewed by the U.S. Sun showed Rana was concerned about his mother, who runs a New York state licensed daycare. However, records indicate she ran the business from their home in Virginia. So even in this, like they're doing it. She's got a headset on. You know she does. You know she does. Nick needs armored cars? No way. I don't need armored cars. I'm very safe when I travel. Like I'm good. I'm good. I got a good sniffer, and I can tell. Espresso D, can you repeat that in the voice? I did not have sex with that woman. Not a single time. Maybe not a single time. No, I didn't though. I promise. I promise I didn't. Like that would have been funny. But it didn't. That's not a thing. It's always weird talking about like meeting people at certain places because people assume stuff, and it's like, well, no, I'm just running around. Had a bunch of fun dip, we'll say. And I was just having a good time. All that is Jay says, holy shit, it's Ricada Law. What up? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Okay, where the fuck was this? JP-Morgan's lawyers brought up the fact that he also confirmed his mother's business is now based in New York in an interview he gave to the media outlet The Juggernaut. Speaking about the article, they also argued that it named him and featured direct quotes from Rana about his early life, education, employment, along with his feelings about becoming an internet fascination after filing the case. It was also claimed in court that bosses discovered Rana's resume did not match up with his work history, later revealed in the media. They further noted that his crisis management firm had provided a comment to a media outlet naming him. Oops. Kaiser, Rana's attorney, said that despite the media attention this case brings, it remains a confidentiality concern, but his motion was denied. And yeah, if you're a victim of harassment or an embarrassing sexual crime, often the court will allow you to file anonymously and seal the file. It won't be publicly available because the person should be able to pursue their legal remedies without suffering further humiliation. So, let's see. So here's some crazy stuff. This is where some of this starts. Rana will now have to find new counsel if he wants to continue his legal fight ahead of the next court hearing on June 23rd, The judge wrapped up the hearing by adding, I do want to encourage on the record that everyone talk to their respective clients to the extent that they can find out what, if anything, can make this case resolve itself. So the judge is actually asking for this case to be settled. And this case is insane. This is an insane thing, right? Like this case is crazy. Aya Morgan says, my bro always said this ride has a weight limit. That is life lesson number one, boys and girls. Have a weight limit on your ride. You get to choose what it is, but have one. All right. So after appearing in court, Rana's lawyer was overheard mentioning JP-Morgan while talking animatedly on his phone outside the building as he paced up and down. He then declined to comment on the case when approached by the U.S. Sun. Rana alleged in the bombshell lawsuit that Hajdini turned him into her sex slave by drugging him with a date rape drug, which I believe they mentioned elsewhere is GHB. And Viagra. So GHB to knock him out, Viagra to make that little tiny rod stand tall. threatening to cut his bonus if he did not comply. He did not directly report to Hajdini and instead had a different boss, meaning she would not have control over his annual bonuses, source told the Post. I don't know what this guy was thinking. Like, where does this come from? Hajdini denied the allegations in a statement from her lawyers soon after they were made. Lorna categorically denies the allegations. She never engaged in any inappropriate conduct with this individual of any kind and has never even been to the location where the alleged sexual assault supposedly took place. Rana claimed the abuse started soon after he joined the JP-Morgan team in the spring of 2024. Company spokesperson told the Post that an internal probe conducted. That's what caused this in the first place. An internal probe conducted by in-house lawyers and the HR department reportedly found no evidence to support Rana's claims. Following an investigation, don't believe there's any merit to these claims, the spokesperson said. While numerous employees cooperated with the investigation, the complainant, that's Rana, refused to participate and has declined to provide facts that would be central to support his allegations. Now, this next paragraph should fucking offend everybody. JP-Morgan offered Rana $1 million to settle the case, but he allegedly demanded nearly $12 million. This fucking ass bag brings a complete fiction to the court, a complete fiction, and gets fucking offered $1 million. Not like $1 million in New York City financial world is different than everywhere else in the planet, just about. But still, we'll give you $1 million to settle this out. He could have negotiated in non-disparagement, non-disclosure, keep it all quiet, no details leaked, no further stuff. Maybe even get Lorna to drop any sort of defamation claims if he issues a statement like we've settled things out. I wish Lorna the best, blah, blah, blah. Even maybe a retraction or two he could offer up and say some of the claims may have been misunderstood or miscommunicated. A lot of stuff could have happened in that $1 million settlement. The $1 million, they're probably like, look, we'll give you $1 million. This thing goes away. We don't have to fucking fight this out. They're going to work out some details. They might want some skin of some sort. Obviously, he's going to get fired, and he's going to have a really significant non-compete, probably a requirement to turn over his book of business to anybody who's there, depending on what he did. All of that stuff. But that he had offered $1 million, and he didn't take it. He didn't fucking take it. And he's going to get destroyed in this. Like, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be funny. But holy shit. Quote, we did try to reach an agreement to avoid the time and expense of litigation and to support an employee who is being threatened with the very reputational harm now unfolding. A Chase spokesperson told the outlet. JP-Morgan Chase, if you don't remember that. We continue to believe these allegations have no merit, and new information raised as a result of the public filing only reinforces that conclusion. Hajdini filed a defamation lawsuit on May 19th, alleging that her former co-worker launched a months-long campaign of false claims. The lawsuit alleged that Rana's claims were concocted for the improper purpose of personal enrichment at the expense of defendants and others, adding that they are entirely false, malicious, and fabricated. Rana had left his job at JP-Morgan before the lawsuit and went to work as a principal investor at Briegel Sagemount. However, he left the job on April 2nd, just days before he filed the bombshell lawsuit. So there you go. He knew the moment that thing was filed, he was going to get fired from the new place. Obviously. But Tiny Dottore says, I believe she did it. I love it. Taking long odds. I love that. That's the attitude we need around here, and I'm proud of you for doing it. Let's see. We're just a note. We are at 24 members for the show today. I haven't really been talking about memberships that much, but we are at 24. I really do appreciate everybody who's joined up. If you've joined up to the show and or joined up to the channel, or if you've gifted subs out, or if you've gotten gifts, like, thanks all of you. Really awesome to see that. And those gifted subs are always available. We do have them in stock. Kaufman says, hey, Nick, how are you? A tax question for you. Bank man, do you have to pay taxes if you win a cash settlement? And what is the percentage? Yes, you do. It is income. So it's taxable as income. That's the answer. Depends on how your income is structured. Now, you could maybe like find some ways to mitigate the taxation. Like, for example, if depending on what your personal income is, if it's higher than like an entity's corporate tax might be, you could hypothetically not take it as personal income. Like, say your tax rate is, I don't know, 35%, and you get a 25% corporate tax or something like that. And then, of course, depending on the amount, but like, let's say that's possible. You can structure it in different ways. You could say pay it out into an LLC, and then or an S corp or something, and pay the taxation on it that way. And then you'd be taxed when you take it as personal income if you're paid from that entity. But you can also structure your income to pay at more convenient times or pay when you have a loss or something like that. So there are ways to like help out with it, but it's taxable as income. I believe. I guess I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Okay, so yeah, that's the update on this guy. Look, he's a weirdo. This looks like it might be a fraudulent claim. Most of the details are a lie, but you know what? There is that long shot. You got all these details that they can't verify and stuff. What if she like really did it? What if this is part of it? Like, what if this is part of their kink back and forth? Or maybe she's like, you need to sue me. Like, or you need to bring up this complaint. Like, what if that's her thing? That's her fetish. That's what I'm into right there, is finding out that there's a deep, dark fetish behind this. That's what I want to know. Night of Cypher says, whoa, you're not in jail. You know, that's a common misconception. I was only in jail for about 26 hours. That's it. And I hope to not, ever go back. It wasn't like that. 26 hours wasn't the most fun. It wasn't that bad though. I just mostly slept through it, but I was in holding, or in intake. I wasn't in the general population or anything. So I didn't have that jail life. I just slept on a cement slab for, I think I slept like 19 of the 26 hours. So there you go. Good thing prison sucks. Yeah. And I didn't go to, I hope to not ever, never grace the halls of prison. But 26 hours sucks. Yeah, I mean, but again, I have narcolepsy, and I didn't have, at intake, you don't have a cellmate. So you have your own room. And like with narcolepsy, you could just lay down and close your eyes. And when you wake up, you could just lay down and close your eyes and go back to sleep. Kaufman says, were you the hottest gay man in that jail, or you were the gayest hot man in that jail? I don't know. I only saw one other guy who wasn't a fat cop, and his name was Derek. He was in the cell across from me. We shared a common area. Derek wore his clothes around his face, though, so I don't know what he looked like. What would Nick's prison tats be? Ow, please stop. Steve says, did you get a first offender deal? Get it expunged after all the shit? Yes. Actually, no. Slight nuance to that. It won't be expunged because I'm not actually convicted of a felony. What I got in Minnesota was called a stay of adjudication. So that means that I made my guilty plea, and the judge heard the guilty plea and refused to accept the guilty plea. Okay? And instead instituted a probation agreement. That probation agreement says that as long as I fulfill the obligations of this probation agreement, then at the end of that, my charges will be dismissed and I will never be adjudicated guilty. I will never be convicted of a felony. The main thing about that that's really cool is I don't lose gun rights. I don't lose voting rights. I don't have gun rights right now. That's part of my probation agreement. I'm not allowed to own or possess a firearm. So that being said, though, at the end of my probation, in theory, I should have no trouble acquiring a gun or other quote unquote weapon because my rights will not have been forfeit as I will not have been found guilty. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Aya Morgan says, do you also have cataplexy along with the narcolepsy? Husband has cataplexy with his. I don't have like the sudden cataplexy issue where like I won't collapse or anything like that. What happens to me is when it hits, like it's how do I describe it? My body feels like I just woke up in the middle of the night, like, and I'm just like exhausted, lethargic, and kind of like flooded with that paralytic hormone. Everything's really heavy, and I get really tired. Like, I have to lay down and sleep or sit down and sleep because I won't stay awake. Oh, excuse me. That tends to happen mostly when I'm under very high stress is when that hits. But no, I don't have the thing where like I'll have sudden muscle loss or whatever. Jake Gajoff says, what makes the judge side with you like that? Well, so Minnesota has a statute that lines out that deal for first-time drug offenders with no other significant criminal history. And then depending on the level of charge that you have, kind of impacts the statute. If you have a 5th degree possession charge, which is what I was originally charged with, but that got upgraded to 2nd. But if you have a 5th degree possession charge, you automatically get that deal on your first time offense. If you have 4th or 3rd degree charges, maybe 2nd also, but definitely 4th or 3rd degree, it's permissive. The judge can choose to allow you to have that deal. I think if you have 1st degree charges and maybe 2nd degree, if you plead guilty to the 1st or 2nd degree, you are not eligible for that deal, something like that. I can't remember if it's both of those, but I think the 1st degree. So you don't get it then. 1st degree is having like quite a bit of product, we'll say. You seem clean. Keep it up. Oh yeah. I've been completely sober from drugs and alcohol since April 15th of last year. So a little over a year now, but thanks, man. I appreciate it. Okay. What else do we have? We have the ICE stuff, but it's 3 a.m. It is the last week of school, so I still have like some kid obligations. I think I'm gonna pull out and go to bed for now. We might cover the ICE stuff soon. ICE is just having a crackdown in New Jersey, very similar to what was going on in Minnesota. We haven't seen any ICE murders yet, so that'll be interesting. But we'll check in on that. Some of the big stuff again coming up. Karen Reed the Karen Reed like sidecast lore video where people are going to help me understand all these gross women who are now mad that I exist. Look, one time you go online and you're like, I'm going to rape your grandmother or whatever. And people are so fucking mad about it. I don't get it. But yeah, so now I've got these weird, obsessive ladies, and not in the good way, who are very angry with me. And they want to just go to the Kiwi Farms or whatever and read stuff in my thread. And they come out to tell the world about it, like as if it's new. So that's really funny. I'm down with it. Also, they tend to have various personality issues, which are fun to make fun of. So that's coming up because a 3-hour chat about me just happened. And then, other than that, we've got, stuff from the What the Hales case and the Laura Owens case. Those should be a blast. So my friend Megan Fox has been getting cease and desist letters. We're going to cover some of those, and I'll show you guys like what they're over, and we'll talk about it and have a good, jolly old time. So let's see. Are they like the feminazis in the movie PCU? Great movie, by the way. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're just, they're these people who believe that Karen Reed is guilty. Senator Mick Hardcock says, you are clearly on hard drugs. No hate, but it's obvious. Oh, okay. Sounds good. I guess when they drug test me next, we'll find out. Sledge Entertainment says, yo, Nick, I'm late. You're gay. Hope you're doing good. I am. So, all right, guys. The felon attorney says it's really hard to fake drug tests. Not easy. Yeah. One of the things that kind of like blew me away when I first got my probation and started going, people are like, how are you going to beat your drug tests? It's like, don't do drugs. Like that's it. They're like, I have 5 kids, and if I fuck up, it's 21 months in prison. So like there isn't like a beat the drug test thing. Like the only way you beat the drug test is not to do drugs. That's it. Any sort of other stuff, you're playing with fire. DX Mania says, I don't know if you've seen it, but the Karen Reed sidebar transcripts are out. I have seen that they are out, but I haven't actually read them yet. I Am Orgain says, will you be able to get your law license back? Yes. So my law license wasn't taken. I'm not disbarred. I wasn't disciplined for any behavior. My law license is suspended currently because I did not do my continuing legal education in the wake of being arrested while dealing with my legal issues and a bunch of personal issues, like a whole lot of crippling depression, like related to everything. Like, during that time, I didn't keep up with my continuing legal education. So I need to do that. And then I think I have to write a letter to the Supreme Court of Minnesota, just asking them to reinstate me and let them know that I've caught up on my continuing legal education and paid all the applicable fees. And I've been very busy. That's the main thing. So, and, would it have been good to have done the CLEs? Yes, but I wouldn't have gotten anything out of them. I wouldn't have even paid attention to them in the state I was in. Also, like, I had other things that were much more important. My license is very important to me because I worked hard to get it, but it's not necessary for me to do this on YouTube. This does not require a law license. I'm not giving people legal advice. I'm not representing anybody. And for the most part, like I don't have any desire to do that, mostly because of time. And I also hate collecting, like I hate billing people. I just fucking hate it. So I'm content to come on here and talk with you guys and stuff like that. But I do want to get my license back just because I worked really hard to get it. Here we go. What's this?
Holy fuck, Nick. What man would ever complain about getting out of work to bang the ball?
I don't know.
Did the taint stink? I can imagine worse shit. Like actual work. Hit it and split it, lick it and quit it.
Words to live by. Hit it and split it, lick it and quit it. No, I get it. I mostly agree. I mean, there are people who have gone gay to skip work or get an extra lunch break, especially if it involves sex. So, Alfarius and Omegon says, don't be depressed. We love you. Oh, thank you. I'm not anymore. I have, I have my episodes where like something hits me and I'm like, fuck. For whatever it may be, memories of something or like something will trigger like an idea or just, like stressful situations and shit like that. Obviously, like everybody does. I'll have those things. But other than that, I'm not in any like depression risk like I was at the time. For a while, things were not great. That's why I stayed off the internet for so long. So those chat reads are still too loud. Well, I'll have to see if there's an easier way to change some volume on it. All right, guys. With that, I'm going to go to bed. And I'm so pumped. My oldest graduates. He's done with school, but the graduation is coming up in a couple days. Sunderwear says, fuck, I should have banged that black chick in Jamaica. I shouldn't have. Like, some things look like a great idea, and they wouldn't be a good thing in the long run. Right? So you just go, oh, well, that person was nice. And that's all good. That is a just fine interaction to have had. So yeah, my oldest is graduating in a couple days. And everybody else is going to be done with school. Our schedule opens up. We've got some cool stuff planned this summer as a family. And hopefully some stuff I can take care of on the channel. And like, produce some content with. So we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. I'll catch you next time. Have a good night. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed, to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an Ardbeg, a Balmore, a Lafroig, the spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter, as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed, to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful. folks from Dundee to Drexel, they bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea. Post on Twitter as we hear Lost Blanding tonight. From the wide shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the problem better than